1, 2, 3, 4, check the sound. Friends, please take a seat. I'm really glad to see all of you on the second day of the Interchain Summit. So now I want to ask our speakers to join Interchain 2 panels. Adi from Informal Systems, please join our stage. Chris from Tsunami, very nice. I met Chris on the Polkadot party, and they made so cool event. We speak with Chris and tell, friend, you need to be with us. It's Paul from Kyiv, and it's me, Vladi, and I will represent Interchain tool as the centrifuge. So now we will not only speak, but also maybe show something. And I don't know how to what it's better to do to start to show something, or maybe better to tell something about ourselves, and after show what we do. So by the example, my name is Vladi, and even if I'm a founder of POSTHUMAN Validator, also we built cool interchain tool that called Centrifuge Digital that will help to develop community and also implement such interesting way of the self-development like learn to earn, and maybe it will be future kind of decentralized education. Chris?
Yes, thank you, Vlad. Yeah, my name is Chris, founder of Tsunami. We are a network of builders. The idea is really to connect builders from all over the world and give them tools to go from ideation to first funding. And we have already 10,000 builders on the platform, 2,000 projects. And the idea is also to give them the potential to connect with advisors early on and start a DAO to have a governance, a cap table, and first assets, everything on a digital platform. And the idea is really to have a global platform to connect builders.
I'm Paul. Thanks for having me today. I'm from Kyiv Network. So for those who are not familiar with Kyiv Network, we are a decentralized validation layer. And our goal is to build a public good infrastructure for builders across many ecosystems, like from Cosmos-based chain to like EVM chains. And what we are building basically, it's like fully decentralized archival nodes that are accessible as public good through different tooling that empower builders and data scientists and validators to retrieve historical data of blockchains.
Yep. Hey, Adi here. I'm from Informal Systems. Great to be here. Thanks. I was on the team that maintained Common PFT. We generally build core infrastructure in Informal. I am now part of the team that builds a version of Comet, but in Rust. It's not exactly a rewrite. It's not meant to be compatible with Comet. So we build something that is called Malachite. It's a tendermint in Rust, briefly. The goal for us is to enable a new generation of stacks that are highly customizable. So we want to build new generations of systems that look like Cosmos SDK-based chains, but this time in Rust and with a lot more customizability. That's it.
Great. I totally sure that we need to have something like a conversation about interchain tools and why we build these tools and the lack of which tools we think, which tools is not enough for us. Okay, let's start from the showing something, and after we'll discuss it. Everybody will be able to use like the. To be honest, I already prepared Tsunami IO, for example, or Kyiv Network, so you can open, but I will show you a little bit about Centrifuge Digital and tell why we think that it's important interchain tool. And this is the public good, and maybe you already know such platforms like Z, Bblock, or Galaxy, and for what do we need one more Quest Task platform? Yes, because this platform will be permissionless. Now it's alpha stage. Now it's not really connected to the blockchain, but the next step is make all creating of tasks, quests as the transactions in the blockchain, and everybody will be able to make any quest and tasks permissionless, don't asking for the any confirmations and so on, and it will be chain agnostic. So it will, if you want to create task and quest on EVM, you can do it on Cosmos, on Solana, and this is our vision of how such education need to be. So in general, our main idea for this tool is teach people to do something. For example, any company can tell, I need a web page and I ready to pay $500 for it. AI will deconstruct on the small tasks, like to build a page, you need to have domain and hosting and HTML. To get domain and hosting, you need to do this. To get HTML, this, you need to draw the buttons. So first task, upload application. Second, you upload application, run it, get 1 cent. Next, draw the button. You draw the button, get 2 cents. Draw second button, tick, tick, tick. You finish all tasks. As the result, you get $500. People get the web page. And after it, you know how to build a web page. So by this way, we can deconstruct any task for the huge amount of small tasks, and people can study what to do. For now, we have beautiful functionality. As join the Discord, and bot will check, did you join or not, get this role. If you get the role, you can get new tasks. Some we can check, like not only follow us on Twitter, but delegate so much to this validator. And if you delegate, bot check and tell, okay, you get experience points. So validators, different projects use it after, of course, leaderboard. For now, it's only experience, but in near time, it will be badges, NFTs, tokens. So it can be used like any influencer or call, like watch my video, put like, make comment, you will get 1 token. And some people go, finish it, get tokens. Like some people can even cheat 1,000. Gmails, create 1,000 YouTube accounts, but for the call and the influencers, it's not really important. They get 1,000 views, 1,000 comments, their video goes up. So this is how we see Interchain tool for the development of the communities. Chris, maybe now you will show us.
Wonderful. Thanks, Vladimir. Perfect. He gets an applause for that. Thank you. So I really love that, because we need this. I just thinking, what can I present? We just launched a token, and I don't want to just talk about a token. I want to talk about the concept behind our token, because from my Web2 friends, which I have a lot from, they always tell me it's a scam. It must be a scam. There's some token involved. So at least in the community, I want to present this because it's new, and I also heard from the community this must be a scam. And I'm like, why? Why does everybody tell me? It's what we think is fair launches are quite cool. So we're doing a fair launch. Fair launch means we are remunerating everybody that is contributing to the project in tokens. So they get tokens every week, and you can see the model explained on our website. So that's maybe which part. Maybe we go to the token economy and the token distribution. There you can see we're minting tokens every week to builders, to the development team, to prior investors, to liquidity providers, meaning future investors, to the treasury, and to the staking pool. The problem is with fair launches, if you're minting tokens to people, they tend to want to sell these tokens, and then the token drops. So there's no demand side for the token. And here comes, and we actually looked at Morpheus as a project, you might have heard of them, comes an interesting piece. We take Ethereum, stake it, and take the yield from the Ethereum to buy the token. And we pay interest to the stakers, calling the liquidity providers, to remunerate the liquidity providers and lock this for a certain amount of time that obviously there's demand for the token. And that's what we're doing right now. And obviously, I think there needs to be more projects that use this kind of fair launch model, because where there's so much Ethereum staked, imagine we could use the staking rewards to innovate the ecosystem. And that is something that we want to bring to the market with our token, which is live now for 2 weeks. We already have shown that. We are only on Polygon at the moment. We want to be obviously available on a lot more chains, and we are working on this. Our builders, we are totally agnostic of technology, can work on any chain, but we would love to develop this whole concept. We call it venture staking, for more projects. And if you start project or your project on our platform, you can obviously also use it and develop your project further.
Oh, Paul, yeah, you can hear us about Hive.
So yeah, I would go just with a quick explanation about how it works and why it's important. And then I'm not going to show you how to retrieve data, obviously, because it's going to take too long. But I'm just going to take the osmosis data, so you can see that we are like 155 block behind, so almost at live height. We are focusing obviously on historical data, so it's perfect for us. And how it works, it's basically we will upload each block by bundle from Genesis to the latest height on Arweave. So for those who are not familiar with that, Arweave is a decentralized storage solution that ensures that the data are stored permanently and accessible for free. And Hive is a trustless validation pipeline that will ensure that the data that are archived are the correct one, and then you can use those data in a trustless manner and be sure that you are retrieving correct data. So we'll just go a bit more into details here. So you can see the bundles being archived, so that's live on our mainnet currently. You can see probably a few names or few logos that you already know. Each validator basically will stake their token, and one will be selected randomly to be the uploader, upload a piece of data into Arweave, go back to the data pool with the storage ID and the transaction hash, and the other validators will basically check if the data are correct or no, because they have different data sources. They can validate if the data are correct. And once archived, you have like free tooling on the side, one which is casing. Casing is because we archive not only blocks and block result, but also the state every 10,000 blocks, so that allows you to state sync your node at any height of the blockchain super efficiently. A data pipeline, so working as a data pipeline, basically you can import the data into BigQuery, Snowflake, MongoDB, wherever you want, and do data transformation, schema with it, and so on for free. And an API, so that was requested actually by the Celestia team to reduce the cost for the Light node. So you can use it also as a normal API that you can self-host. So our like way of seeing and our vision for like Interchain, and not only for Interchain, but for any blockchain, is that anyways, there is no incentivization right now for historical data, so it's lead to centralization of those data or loss of those data in the worst case. I think if you check the GitHub of Solana, you can see that you have some skip blocks. So like some blocks are missing, like normal for a blockchain. You can just think of that as a really like base layer foundation to build any kind of product where you need historical data. So you can use it to build flip side gen analytics. You can use it to build an accounting solution. You can use it to do an indexer. You can use it to do an oracle, but it's just a different approach of it. And yeah, I think that's it.
This is great. This is great.
How many people in the audience are familiar with what is a consensus algorithm or a consensus engine? There's maybe half. Okay. I'll try to make an analogy before I describe what I actually work on, because it would be very technical and it would not be very useful for the other half of the audience unless I make that analogy. So one analogy that I usually give to explain what I work on is at the end of the 19th century, we were all figuring out, well, not we, but people who lived back then, they were trying to figure out how to use a steam engine to do something cool with it. They just figured out, oh yeah, you can take this thing, you can put some wood in it, and it just produces pressure, and what can you do with that thing? And then they figured out, okay, you can take a steam engine and you can put it on a horse carriage. And that was really weird, but that was the first car, essentially. And that was more than 100 years ago. So a steam engine, you can think of it as it's an analogy to a consensus engine. It's like a black box that you put some stuff inside, and it produces, forward motion for a vehicle. So if Hive or if Cosmos Hub or if other decentralized applications are a car, that car needs an engine underneath to propel it forward, and the engine that does that is called a consensus engine. And the other analogy that I could make to explain what a consensus engine is well, it's a tool to implement decentralization, essentially. It's like a ballot box where validators go and vote, essentially. They put their votes in the box, and then they all open the box together, and they say, I think it's that, and another validator says, okay, I think it's X or Y or Z, and then they all interpret the results together, and that's how you don't have a single node relying on, but you can go with any of them and they should be telling you the same truth. So if you go to all nodes validator or if you go to another validator, they should be telling you the same thing. That's essentially decentralization. So what I work on is a tool called Malachite. It's an implementation of a technology called Tendermint. And we do have a website, actually. It's pretty recent. And we haven't even announced it yet. But let's see. Cool, yeah. So it's just words. It's not something that the user can interact with, such as a wallet. Because again, it's just technology, it's just tools. And it is, if you're familiar with Comet BFT, which is underlying most of the applications that exist today in the Cosmos ecosystem, Malachite is a version of Comet BFT, but not built in Go, as Cosmos SDK and as Comet, but built in Rust. So we took many years of experience that we had from building Comet BFT in Go, and we took that experience and we took some amazing engineers that know Rust, and we said, let's just build this thing in Rust because we are in a bit of a local minima with what we can do with blockchains today. And let's figure out what the new generation of blockchains should be looking like. And we were thinking maybe the best thing that they could do is just give very talented builders access to new types of, to a much more flexible consensus engine, and that's how Malachite came to be. We do publish performance dashboards. I think these have not been updated in a while because we're trying to figure out what is the best, the regular schedule on which we should update. So if you're familiar a bit with how consensus engine works, these numbers or these benchmarks will tell you some things. I can explain them, but I don't think it's very interesting unless you're an engineer. And then you can interpret some of this data here by reading at the bottom some context that we give. So this is Malachite. This is what I spend most of my time on. We interact with teams that typically build in Rust. So the teams that we currently work with publicly are Starknet, which is an L2 from Ethereum. They're trying to decentralize their sequencer. Then there is Farcaster, who built, to my knowledge, the first sharded, which means partition state, BFT system. And Zcash are building a hybrid proof-of-work, proof-of-stake system with Malachite. So it's relatively new and fresh, let's say, stacks that are being built with Malachite. It's a relatively low-level infrastructure tool. If you're a builder and you're rethinking your stack, I would be interested to talk to you. This is it.
Great, thank you very much. So this is so cool, interesting. We have so different expertise, but all of us doing something to make to use data from one blockchain to another blockchain, and as Web2 built on many different protocols. Of course, Web3 also will be based on many different protocols. It's very unlikely that it will be only one protocol for the whole Web3. This is something unbelievable. So, how do you, what do you think about tools? Yes, to make it, we need some tooling, and which tooling we really need, and which tooling we have lack of, and how do you think how your tool will help to achieve it, or maybe make this coming of the interoperable Web3 faster?
I think actually in Cosmos we are very good at tooling. From the ecosystems that I'm familiar with, we have some of the most, I would say, advanced tooling and very broad base of operators that use that tooling to manage hundreds of app chains, basically. And this doesn't exist in most ecosystems. I'm venturing to say that even Ethereum probably doesn't have such a broad, let's say, base of skills of operators and validator teams that have been building tools for a long time. And I think there's maybe two reasons why that is the case. It's because people have been building their app chains and they have been inventing whatever it is that they need to make it work for their specific use case. I cannot think of specific examples what you would need, for instance, tooling for Osmosis versus tooling for the hub. But I'm sure there are people in the audience much more familiar with those tools to tell me.
But you was mentioned that you already have connections, for example, with the Starknet that also making look to it on Ethereum. So how we can bring more interchain to EVM, for example. So I saw Vitalik Buterin and I asked, what do you think about interoperability and the IBC in general? So, interoperability, it's very good, we are thinking about it. This was the answer, but okay, he was like, I understand that he don't have a time to answer all the questions, but okay, how we can make EVM more interchain, because all they do is like endless layers of the Vitalik Buterin, but how we can make it really interoperable, not EVM centralized?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm the most competent in answering that, but probably we need to be able to articulate the benefits much, much better than we usually do. If you look at teams that have large marketing budgets that do interoperability, they talk about the solutions that they provide in very plain, simple, words, and they articulate the benefit for the builder team or for the user in the most simplest words possible. We cannot just say, this is the most advanced decentralized solution to do bridging from your X, Y, and Z using a decentralized whatever validator. No, people are just going to tune out of that language halfway through your sentence. And if you look at teams that actually think about go-to-market and they think about how to address user problems, they express the purpose of what they build, and they express let's say, the solution and the benefit to the user in very, very simple words. And I think we don't do that very well. So if we want to say, let's have tools from the Interchain more available, or have a bigger user base, or let's tackle the EVM and so on, we need to be able to articulate why is it in the interest of those teams to adopt our tools. And if we cannot do that, then they're just not going to be interested. The Starknet team, when they chose to adopt Tendermint, they did a multi-month effort of sitting down and thinking with researchers, what are the 2-3 key properties that they need from their consensus algorithm? And then they also sat down and thought, what is our timeline? It's 2 years. So this is an example of a team that thinks from requirements first, and there's not that many teams that think like that. And because they have such a long timeline, 2 years, and they wanted to build something from scratch, the Tendermint algorithm implementation from scratch, and they're so good at kind of doing the research upfront. You didn't need, or us, or no one in Cosmos ecosystem went and told them, hey guys, you should use Tendermint because it's the most amazing thing. If we had done that, probably it wouldn't work. They convinced themselves. But this is a very small subset of builders that know exactly what they want. And the other much larger subset of builders, I think they don't know what they want. They probably just want to make some money, or they are confused about what they want. And then I think we just need to articulate why is it that IBC is great, or why is it that Tendermint is great. And articulating that is not easy at all, because we don't spend time on it. And we should be spending more time.
Yes, this is very interesting. This is very interesting. And Chris, with your idea to collect a lot of builders, tell how you see what you see we need to build better interchain, and lack of which tools maybe we have, or how you can help to solve this.
Yeah, I think you know, the why is missing for me a little bit. You know, when I entered the market, I remember that the whole industry had like this story of building a decentralized layer of software for humanity, I guess, and it's permissionless and borderless and so on. And that's why I entered the market. And you know, where did we end up with? We're building meme coins and stuff like that, which I don't want to condemn this at all. You know, I mean, meme coin is nice. It's a good tool, and you can build something with it. But you know, we're not discussing. We should also build stuff that actually serves the people out there, and that's what I'm missing at the moment. You know, the whole market is focusing on the next rail, and you know, in the end, we're building rails on top of each other, and nobody knows where to go anymore. And you know, that's also it's very, very technical, to be honest. Yeah, often when I go to, I don't know, ETH Denver, 50% of these presentations, I don't understand. Okay, I'm not a developer, I get that, but 50% of the other people there in the audience also sit there and don't understand. You know, and that's a little bit funny, because everybody tries to, you know, get involved, but then it stays so technical that, you know, you know, we need to get to another layer. And I have the fear that, you know, Web 2 actually takes over, yeah, because they know that user experience for users out there is super important. And you know, whether it's like 5 milliseconds or 10 milliseconds finalization, you know, that's not that important for the end user. I guess for us it might be cool, but I think right now the purpose for me, you know, to really build something and make something big is helpful. Would be more helpful.
Yeah. Yes. I think that the tooling that user orientated, this is what we really have lack of. And Paul, I'm pretty sure that you can easily explain why archives nodes so important and needed. For me, really needed.
Yeah, on our way, how we saw it, it's like how we make the developer experience easier in the way that you don't have to run places to find data. And you know that you can just go through, like, just a simple analogy, you can think of us like as a tomato inspector can provider that will check that you have like just red tomatoes in cans, no matter like where the tomatoes are from. We just ensure that the tomatoes are the correct one. And then you can buy those tomatoes to do ketchup and stuff like that, but you don't need to go to the farmer yourself to ask for tomatoes and check if the tomatoes respect the regulation in Europe and blah, 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 if it's right tomato without any like specific pesticide on it and stuff like that. Like the way that I see the tooling is like serious teams are coming by themselves to build. Like if you take like the Celestia team, Parachain, we can think whatever we want about them, but they are a great, they have been building directly using it. Story and a few others also, Zion. And if you look all of that, yeah, we don't have the whole noise that is happening everywhere. Like we don't have like the noise as the Solana ecosystem maybe, whereas like tons of builders are building coins every day. And like I don't know if it's really building, by the way, but like at least launching coins every day. Like I don't know how many coins have been launched in the beginning of the year, but I don't think like that's a parameter of success. Like for a product, like to have like many people spamming it just for the sake of spamming it and trying to grind money. It's like if you want to do like long term, it's like I think most honorable. And like for example, it's our vision. Like we choose to build on this stack. Like we didn't start like that. We built first on smart grid, that are the smart contract of Arweave, then switched to Moonbase Alpha, that is the testnet of Moonbeam, and then ended using the stack because the stack is the best, and like it's I think what's matter. And then after it's at us builders to like understand what are like our pain points as builders and build on top of that to make the life of newcomers easier in the long term. But all the product that we have launched, like casing, come from a partner, like from a need from like Chorus One, for example. The Trustless API was asked by the Celestia team. So like we were building always with the need of other builders, and we were listening of what they were asking and not just building in our bubble and be like, oh great, we're gonna build product, but no one will use them. So it's like, it's also how you direct your effort, and if you are really listening to people that are using your product for the long term, and I think it's how you can build great tooling that is actually used and useful for people.
Great, amazing. Friends, thank you very much. I think this is the best way to make networking, because I already see so many possibilities for collaboration as between our projects, as between the other projects that will be represented. Thank you very much. Friends, if you will have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you, Adi. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Paul. And we have 2 minutes for the preparation, because Metodi from Nolus Protocol will make the interesting presentation about Nolus, and you will know how you can collaborate more, and maybe it also will be interesting for Tsunami, because I already understand how it can be connected to each other.
Hey everyone, great to be here. I'm Metodi, and today I'll walk you through some exciting strategies that you could execute utilizing the Nolus Protocol, regardless of whether your goal is to grow or preserve capital. Before we start with the nitty-gritty, a really short introduction about me. At Nolus, I lead efforts in product development, working closely with our talented engineering team on enhancing the protocol's functionalities. My roles involve driving innovation, contributing to the product's architecture, or taking on governance initiatives. I've been part of this team for over 3 years now, so nearly since the very beginning. Enough about me. Let's give a brief overview of Nolus. Nolus is a novel cross-chain spot margin product that is designed to prioritize predictability and to mitigate risk through fixed interest rates and a controlled leverage environment. Currently, the maximum leverage a user could take on Nolus is 2.5x. It is deployed on its own semi-permission Cosmos-based Layer 1 upchain and utilizes IBC and Interchain accounts to facilitate trading with established decentralized exchanges such as the Osmosis DEX on Osmosis and Astroport on YouTube. Now you might be asking yourself, so sounds intriguing, but is there even a need in DeFi for such a product? Well, the DeFi margin sector is still in its early stages. The volumes are in the low billions, which is really dropping the bucket compared to corresponding product in TradFi. Yet we believe there's potential. And usually users of such protocols in DeFi can take up to, from low to moderate leverage of up to 5x. This is exposes them to naturally to a much lower risk of liquidations compared to perpetual platforms where users take like up to 50 to 100x leverage. And talking about perpetual platforms, there you do not trade the actual asset, but rather a derivative version of it. Whereas with margin products, it's all about the real underlying asset. And with that in mind, margin products often come with better cost transparency compared to other instruments such as perpetual futures, where funding rates can spike high suddenly and without warning. And with margin, you simply borrow more to increase your exposure with less moving parts and more predictability, which is especially true on Nolus. And let's contrast that with TradFi. Their margin trading is foundational and is especially popular amongst institutions and hedge funds. Actually, even for crypto assets, centralized exchanges are seeing vast numbers in volumes. but the issue here is that those volumes are off-chain. And what we are aiming to do with Nolus is to bring those volumes and that sophistication on-chain, or at least part of it. So with TradFi, margin trading in TradFi has like a wide range of use cases. For example, retail participants or hedge funds can use it for midterm leverage trades. Institutional traders, on the other hand, could use it to enhance returns in merger arbitrage or other event-driven strategies. Whereas portfolio managers could use it for tactical allocation without the need to liquidate their long-term holdings. So there's quite a demand for such a product, and we believe that with more liquidity, the products with more on-chain liquidity, the products with the best UX will capture the most demand, and that is where Nolus aims to be. And to be frank, we're already starting to see some of the major benefits that come with such a product on Nolus. And here I've outlined some of his historical stats. And out of all positions open so far on Nolus historically, nearly 3/4 have resulted in profit, which basically showcases that this instrument is being used with precision. The average size of a position is around 2K, which is enough to be meaningful without being reckless. And probably the most important metric is this last one here. And it showcases that a very small fraction, less than 3% of all positions have been fully liquidated, which is a testament to both the product's design and the discipline of the user base. Now that we've covered the what and the why, let's get into the how part, and that's probably the most interesting part of this presentation, namely strategies on Nolus. Basically, a place that you could rely on the protocol, starting from the most basic one-click actions and moving towards slightly more complicated strategies. Let's begin with a classic, going long with leverage. Imagine you have 2K USDC in your wallet and you believe that Atom's price will go up. What you could do is you could provide that 2K USDC as collateral on Nolus and go long with 2x. That would give you $4K worth of Atom exposure at entry. And from here on, if the price of Atom goes up, your gains get magnified. And with Nolus's better liquidation terms, in this case, Atom would need to drop by roughly 44% for you to experience partial liquidation. And this gives enough breathing room, and this makes it a good play for a good strategy for directional conviction plays. Now let's flip the scenario. Suppose you think Atom is overpriced and is due for correction. What you could do on Nolus as well is you could take that 2K USDC and provide it as collateral. Only this time you would be borrowing Atom from Nolus at 2x leverage again. And what Nolus would do for you is it would sell that Atom for you on-chain via osmosis. And now, if the price of Atom drops, you effectively can bank in you can bank in profit because you will be able to buy back Atom cheaper. And in this case, at 2x leverage, Atom would need to go up by 80% for you to experience a partial liquidation, which makes it a good strategy to play the downside. To play the downside. And in this case, what if you don't want to take an immediate action? You could take your 2K USDC and deploy and deposit it into the Nolus stablecoin lending pool, earning 14% APY with zero risk of impermanent loss. And this 14%, for the record, has been a fact for the last half a year probably, so it's quite stable. And in this case, you continue monitoring the market, waiting for a compelling opportunity, whether it be a nice dip for a long or a sudden spike for a short. The idea here is that you grow your dry powder waiting for your right moment to strike. Here we balance risk and reward. So instead of going all in with your 2K, you can deposit half of it into the lending pool, earning 14% APY, and the rest you could go long to X, long or short to X. In this case, that your borrow position would be owing 22% interest, but you could use the lending yield to partially offset that borrow interest, and with that extend the time horizon of your position and also reduce stress. And if the market actually moves in your favor, you may even start to slowly deleveraging until the lending yield completely offsets your interest. And here, this strategy is all about protecting gains. Imagine you have two active long positions that are a big 1K in profit from the 1K you initially started off with. Rather than closing them outright, you can hedge. And in this case, you would use the other 1K that you have in your balance to open a 2X short position. In this case, if the longs continue gaining, your short would lose, but in that way you would cap your profit. But the more interesting scenario is if the price starts dropping. Now your short would be able to offset the losses of your gains. So you've effectively locked in the profit. And this strategy is perfect for when you expect that there will be some reversal in the market, but you do not want to exit your positions just yet. But it's rather a short-term play because you owe interest in both for your longs and for your short positions. Sometimes less is more, and in this case, you're playing it really safe. You take a very small fraction of your capital, let's say $400, and you go long, and the rest you use to deposit into the lending pool. Now you have some exposure in the market, but it's not that much, and most of your capital is actually earning yield, which completely outweighs the interest that you're owing as a borrower. And this strategy is pretty good if you're unsure about the market, but you still want to kind of have some exposure in case it goes according to your expectations. And the last strategy here that I've prepared is called laddered longs. And this is a pretty nice strategy to dollar cost average into volatility. Say you have again your 2K initial balance. Instead of going all in at one price level, long or short, you simply could split that into 5 tranches of $400. And you could enter at various price levels, some higher, some lower, depending on how the market moves. And this strategy is perfect if you don't want to risk mistiming your entry. So as you can see, there is quite a lot of things that you could do on the protocol, whether you want to comfortably earn yield or you want to tactically engage the market with long or short positions. Nolus has you covered, and with more assets, more DEX integrations, and even better UX around the corner, we are just getting started. Feel free to follow us on our socials and join our community on Discord if you want to learn the latest news. Thank you.
As we can understand, you just need to go to Nolus, click send transactions, and Nolus will perform all the strategies for you, and you don't need to do it by yourself.
Yeah, so basically for opening long and short positions, like one-click actions, but if all of those are more or less up to 2 or 3 click actions, so it's just a ways you could use current state of the protocol.
And as we understand, now we saw a cool API on the stable coins, 14 persons, because not so many people. And when will be more people, the API also will be less?
No, actually, we have basically the maximum. It's because the utilization rate is kind of high at the moment, above 80%. And we also cap new lenders from joining. We have this really nice mechanism when we constrain the kind of the new lenders from entering, and therefore diluting the yield, and that's why it's kind of kept that high. And yeah, so borrowers simply, I suppose they're fine with paying the interest that they're paying, and it's simply economics.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
We call Reece from Layer Labs to the stage to tell us about how to build on AWS the easy way using Waves.
Hello, hello. Here to talk about Waves. We had a discussion yesterday, and we want to share more about the dev details of what does actually Waves accomplish, what are we trying to do, and how it can actually work for your product. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of problems with blockchain, and we need to solve them. Smart contracts are actually not smart, they're pretty dumb, and you're extremely limited to a specific subset of commands. We need to open up this set. The set needs to be opened up to external data, and we do these via input triggers. These can be on-chain, these can be cron-based jobs where maybe every hour or every minute you go check some value somewhere, on-chain, or on something like a Twitter. Then we need to execute that. We need to run custom logic that is verified by multiple different operators, validators if you're in Cosmos, and we need to do this extremely efficiently, and we use this using WASM. This allows for about 1 million transactions per second, which is plenty of throughput for most chains, and we can run this on a multi-chain environment. Finally, we need to submit that to the chain, and we need to allow others to access this data that we pulled down via verified operators. How does this actually work? Here on the left, we have this trigger. We have the on-chain events, we have the cron. These then feed into these components. You can write these components in many languages. We'll show some examples up here in a second. These operators, where we can have multiple different sets running different components, are going to execute this and then submit their outputs via signed message into an aggregator. This aggregator will then submit that on-chain. By doing this, we allow for multiple different parties that you agree with. This could be through a delegation process, or this could be through something like proof of authority, which I actually wrote in Cosmos as well. We can build up these things on top of an EVM, almost as like a sidecar. So how does it work? Well, we're able to watch any contract. This includes Solidity, Rust, and then move in the future. We can watch for these events, we can submit to these as well. Then we can use something like restake security in Eigenlayer, or an L1 in Cosmos, and we can utilize that to trust that we verify this output, and you can look at that, and you can pay for either more security if you need that for a high-value application like DeFi, or for something else. Then you write your business logic. We allow for Rust, Golang, TypeScript, and we actually have Python support currently in beta, and we can also support the C languages as well. So we want you to focus on your Interchain application. We're not going to force on you Rust, even though we are Rust maxis. It's all about making sure that you can build the application that fits in your tech stack and allowing you to build on top of this. So where does Waves work? Actually, any L1 and L2 in Ethereum, on the mainnets, on the L2s, all of that just works out of the box on day one. It also works for Cosmos-based networks. So you can watch an event from the Cosmos Hub on a Cosmos contract through something like DAO or a lending protocol. Then you can execute that in your custom logic. Then you can submit that over to an L1, L2, or to another Cosmos-based chain to submit that there for other people to utilize it. But at the end of the day, nothing really matters unless the developer experience is great. And a problem with a lot of developer tools, they have a terrible developer experience, as we've noticed in Cosmos. So from the start, we want to make it as simple as possible to get started. We allow for macOS, Linux, as well as WSL on Windows to get a majority of the market share of most developers. And we give you everything that you need to install. So we give you all those installation requirements, and we help you debug issues that may come up if you have outdated packages. We walk you through all of these steps. If you already have a system that's set up, great, you're already good. But if you don't, we're going to walk you through that without having to actually leave the README. We want to give you everything as the best experience. What does the Solidity look like if you're submitting to an EVM? You just implement this interface. That's all you have to do, and you can save that data there. This is a very, very simple example, but you can make this significantly more difficult as you need to for your product base. But with this, we just have an auto-incrementing chain ID, and then we save that data as raw bytes, but you can modify it as you need. A Rust component, it has really 4 lines of custom Waves logic here at the top where you import this component logic. And then we're going to actually do all standard Rust to then execute. So in this, we're going to decode some trigger event data, which gives us our trigger and like what the user requested. Maybe the user requested just the input value of 1 here, which in CoinMarketCap allows for Bitcoin. Then we take in that input, we decode it, then we actually make an external query call with this WASM component. And doing that, we'll return back the JSON data, which then we will submit on chain using the Ethereum destination endpoint. If you're testing locally, another big thing with developer experience is that you want to run all of this without having to touch the chain. We have support for that too, using the WASI exec command, which then would give you directly output to the CLI. This is standard Rust code that you could find in any other library, making a standard HTTP request over to CoinMarketCap for this data. The user just inputted 1, and then we flow all of this back via the multiple operators through the aggregator on chain. So it's super gas efficient as well. As long as you trust the operator set, you can use this data. Anyone can create an operator set. Anyone can run this as long as they're in that operator set. And you can verify that output by running one yourself as well. But we don't just stop there with Rust. We also have Go components. And with Go, it's even simpler than what it looks like in Rust. And it's more human readable for those of us that enjoy Rust like we do in Cosmos. So now you can just use the waves export run, set that into the function, and we have the same exact example where we grab a price feed, and then we show that result back to the user. But we didn't stop there. We also have TypeScript components because we need to grab front-end application developers. The biggest reason is being able to run these WASM components in the browser. So now we can not only execute up in a virtual machine that someone's running on like Hetzner or something, but now we can also verify and execute it in the browser, which we had a demo of the other day at the Eigenlayer hackathon, the Vault. So now you can write out as a front-end developer your component, or as a back-end developer your component, and it just works. In the template, we showcase all of this in the main README. You can run through this one by one in the steps and be able to install everything through Docker. Super, super simple. It allows for extremely fast, rapid iteration before you even have to touch the blockchain. We give you great examples in all of the languages that we just showed, as well as Python, coming in soon. Whenever we are locally deploying to a blockchain, one of the headaches of testnets is that they're slow. You have to set up all this other infrastructure, which we don't want you to have to do. So part of this is that we're going to launch this in a Docker Compose file and release things like an IPFS node for you, or an Anvil testnet off of a Gillespie or Sepolia fork. Or we'll have a WASM registry there. All of that is automatically set up there for you. And all you have to do is run a single command, make start all. We want everything to be as simple as possible to just get started locally. And then we can add the complexity in when it's time for you to add complexity, like really deploying on a testnet. But the same flow that is used for local is actually used for testnet as well. All you have to do is change a single line in your .env file from local at the top to testnet, and we'll automatically switch over everything. All of your scripts will continue to work. It's as if you were deploying locally, just a slightly slower block time is the only difference. For Eigenlayer, hey, we want to create some local deployer. How do we do that? There's a single command, now you have a deployer, or you can use your own. Then we need to actually deploy Eigenlayer on this local testnet fork because we want to use their restake security. Then you just run a single command that deploys that for you. If you want to use something like Cosmos, great. Launch a Cosmos chain, you can watch events from there. Building a service. At the end of the day, a lot of the difficulties in Cosmos is how difficult it is to set up all of the services. If you want to run a relayer, you got to modify this, you have to run this, all of this. Instead, what if we had a single JSON that referenced everything that you needed to do, or a YAML file, and just be able to run it? And with Waves, you're able to do that. We build up a single JSON, and then within that JSON, you'll have your entire configuration for running the network. This is what that looks like. And all we need to do is upload that to IPFS. Because we launched that local IPFS node for you, then you're good to go. And now anyone can reference that node and is able to run that within their instances as operators. Then we have this concept of aggregator. This is only run on behalf of a developer that is building on the project. You can trust all of the inputs from these operators with the signed keys because they're in the operator set, or you could create your own. And then we submit all of those into this aggregator. This aggregator takes all those results and then submits them on chain, assuming that they are indeed correct. Once we hit a certain core, by default, this is 66%, but then going forward for more critical applications, you could use something like 90% or even 100% of everyone verifying that they have run this input. They're submitting that on chain, and the aggregator will only submit it This is verified both within the aggregator as well as in the Solidity smart contract itself or in the Cosm-Wasm contract. We have the same exact flow for operators. If you want to create an operator, it's the exact same way as we do with the aggregator. Create an operator. This is just going to create a private key. Then we're going to start that operator. This is started up in Docker. And then we're going to opt in to the service using the deploy service command. This will allow us to automatically pull down those Wasm components and begin ready to watch events. As events come in, they will then go and execute. Here we actually have support also for using signing keys. So you're not using your real private key that holds funds. You're using other instances of that private key that allow you to then save this data. So now we can have multiple services run on a single operator. And by the sounds of it, we can have like roughly 10,000 services per like single box. It's extremely lightweight. It's extremely efficient because of the benefits with Wasm. And so we need to make that simple. So we added the support into EigenLayer into our fork for ECDSA having multiple different signing keys. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter unless you can use all of the same tools. You can using the EVM. So now you can use standard forge and calls into this to execute the trigger. All you do is specify in the Solidity contract that you want to trigger on, hey, I want to trigger CoinMarketCap ID 1. We send that request over to the chain. You wait 12 seconds for that to process on something like a mainnet Ethereum. All of the operators will pick that up, execute it, and then submit that there directly. So the user just has to use the blockchain as the interface. We pull everything off into this sidecar, execute any extremely heavy logic, including running like a mini EVM within of the operator set itself, and then we submit that back onto the chain. But now how do we actually view it? Well, you just query the contract. So we can change all of the format within the components themselves, JSON or whatever format you want, send that to the chain, and now any user can go and query that directly there, verifiably from those operators that you trust. The big thing about Waves is that we actually really do support AI at a scale of determinism that's not possible before. So we can use standard tooling that you're familiar with. This is huge for DevX using OLlama. Then we can run deterministic models. We actually have a demo at art.waves.xyz that uses a deterministic stable diffusion and llama model that will generate art projects for you and have it done across 3 different operators. They're all running the same hardware. They're all able to then put this onto chain verifiably through themselves. And we have GPU support for both AMD, NVIDIA, as well as standard CPU. The big thing that gets really interesting with this is how we actually do rewards. Rewards have been super boring. It's always, we launch a token, we distribute it some, but that's not really where we should have stopped. Where we need to continue to go is allowing for novel reward mechanisms. And with this, we allow for multiple different people to attest that some activity was happening with like KPI-based incentives. And so now we can create these Merkle trees and airdrops based off of incentives that have been verified by multiple different people, and we can build these up together, and users can go and claim these tokens. So now we can have a flow of incentives over time, rather than just a one-time based reward that is given to you. Part of this is how do we actually like query on-chain data? Maybe I don't want to have to go grab GitHub-based data. I want to grab NFT holders. You can do that in the contract. Super efficiently, you just specify what the contract code looks like. In this case, it's an ERC 721. Then I'm going to query all of those token holders. I'm going to go through and get those, and then now I can perform some action like giving each of them a token or doing something along those lines. And I can build these up in novel ways that was not previously possible and have this continuously flowing rewards back to them as they hold it. Or maybe if they trade it, now you get a decreased reward on the NFT. You can build up much different areas than what you could before. Coming soon, we're going to have tooling wrappers to make this super simple to work with AI, EVM, the IPFS, as well as TEEs. We want to make it easy to submit to other chains as well, not just to mainnet Ethereum on EigenLayer. So we'll have some work with mirrors and some light client work that's going to allow for this to be verified from the same operator set that you trusted to actually submit this to any chain. So now you actually have cheaper gas fees, or you could launch your own L1 and have extremely low or even zero gas fees in this case. And we'll have support for both ECDSA as well as BLS signature types. If you're interested, come talk with me or Jake in the back, and we're happy to talk with you about Waves. We're definitely looking for more developers as well as operators for 2 projects that we're coming up, which are super secret, but we're really excited about this. So that's Waves, that's the developer experience. Come talk with us if you're interested. Thank you.
I don't know if somebody have the questions. But I have questions about validation, of course. But we will come, of course, we want to validate more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boys, please attention. Now will be Web3 Women panel. I ask you to take your place. Do you see how many boys and how little girls in our space? Somebody thinks that it's normal. We need to change the situation. And to change the situation, we need to give attention to the woman. And in case if we will create the beautiful environment, we will break this unbalanced situation. But I go out of the stage because no place for the men on the stage right now.
Who else? Hello, everyone. Philippine. I'm Marina, but I didn't. Could you join us to be the moderator, please?
No man for the.
Only women here, so okay, we'll figure it out. Okay, so this is the main problem. We need to improvise all the time. Okay, let's start it like this. Each of us will ask 3 questions.
Okay, we can just communicate and discuss on something.
Yes, let's just discuss. What is the blue elephant around? It's that, look, how many boys, how many girls? We are 5, the boys are how many? Maybe 30.
It's like Web3 Boys Club.
Yes, so what is the reason behind this trend and this, reality? What do you think?
I personally think Web3 is still very experimental for majority of the people, and women normally are not that much risk-taking, in my opinion. In the sense that, for example, if you go into Web3 space, you would see a lot of women entering as the community manager or marketer or community builder, but every time, I've been a Web3 developer for the last 10 years, and in my 10 years, I've only met 1 or 2 other Web3 developers that are also women. And I think it's kind of like, so you don't see examples around, and then you think that this is not for you. And this is like a chicken and egg problem, Women don't see examples, and then they feel like maybe probably this is something that is not for us. And then the women who are already in there, they also kind of constantly have this feeling that, am I in the right field? Am I in the right space? Because, for example, I am, for the past 10 years, consistently the only woman developer in my team for like the last 9 years. And even when we try to like bring in more women, they just end up leaving. So it is a blue elephant, and I don't have the perfect answer to it. But yeah, I mean, it gets lonely after a while.
Yeah, I think that we just should onboard more women in this space, in Web3. For example, when I used to work in traditional banking, traditional fintech, there were a lot of women who were like top managers in banking, and it was just a usual thing. And I can say that I have now had problems with, with like estimating me, like, okay, I'm a woman and what I'm doing in this space. So I feel myself like, okay, here, because I really like innovative things. I like, diving deep in difficult tech stuff. So for me, it's just okay. And I think that we need time. We need time for women to dive in deeper in technical things, because I think it's much more interesting than just, I don't know, doing this frame women stuff like makeup, hairs, and so on, because it's much better, it's much interesting, but they should understand it. And when they will find out it, I think that we'll bring more women in this space.
Do you think this could also be like an image problem of Web3?
Image problem? I'm not sure this can be a problem about image, because so why we should have only men here? So I think it's not about image.
No, I meant to say, like, for example, Web3, how Web3 or as an industry, how it's perceived. For example, if somebody who's in university today and if they are graduating today, how would they perceive, for example, let's say Web3 industry versus AI or some other technical field. So that was what I wanted to ask.
If it is attractive, in a way?
Yeah.
In my perspective, yeah, because I jumped into this just like this when I was invited. But for the young people, I think still they have some concerns about this niche, and it's caused by the media and the overall perception about the scammers and all this misleading information. But still, I think that we need to be more vocal, and we need to push more examples of successful women.
Yes,
What
exactly.
they did, how they managed to enter the space and further develop their skills. I think we need more examples because most of the articles, most of the projects are mentioning mostly men. But this is because of the same that you mentioned, that you are the only girl in the team. But yeah, egg and chicken problem.
I mean, personally for me, it was kind of tough when I started in the space because this was in 2017, 17, and nobody, like, all the media around it was about that this is like a scam, and Silk Road was something very famous back then. And yeah, every time I told somebody I'm going to be doing Web3 smart contract development, and people were like, no, that's illegal. I'm like, why is it illegal? Because Silk Road, because Bitcoin, because you can use the money to pay any scammer out there. And I thought that over the years this would get better, but unfortunately it has not. I mean, I think between 2021 to 2023 things were better, but now they've also kind of taken, especially after the FTX collapse and everything, I think they've taken a turn for the worse, because now again it's like whenever I talk to a normal person who is not aware with Web3, I get the same responses that I used to get back in 2017. No, this is a scam. And previously they were talking about it because they had heard it was a scam, and now they're talking about it because they invested in a meme coin or something and they still ended up losing money. So now it's a lived experience, not just a heard experience.
Honestly, I don't have a fear about scammers or rug pulls or just investing in meme coin. So for me, I just think that okay, you should do a research and understand a team, a value behind this product and tokenomics, and after that you can invest if you like it or just use this project. So it's okay. I don't have a fear, and I have no idea why someone can have this if you can research and understand how it works. And so it's okay for both genders, for men and women.
Research, I think that's also a very broad topic.
But
you have to think about like the audience that you're talking, like asking to do your own research as well. For example, if you were asking like a 50-year-old person to do your own research, I don't think they're going to look into tokenomics and all of this. I think that's why also it's important to kind of build a community and inclusivity and kind of get rid of the negative press as fast as possible, because nobody has time to do your own research. Like nobody's gonna, other than maybe like people like us, people who are deep into the tech, people who are deep into the space, or people who have like a lot of free time on their hands, they will probably do their own research. But normal people who have like 3 kids and a job and a mortgage to pay and a car to fix, they will never do their own research. So I think as an industry, we also need to think about like what kind of image we are portraying. And personally, I believe that the image part is actually hindering not only adoption for women or like stopping women from entering, but overall like for all the people as well. But personal opinion.
Yes, but you told about like community management and so on, and I think that women have good skills in community and in soft skills. So I think we can also in business development, in sales, and also maybe in design. So you can don't talk about backend, I don't know, auditing smart contracts, I don't know, and all of this technical stuff. Okay, we can just bring women from Web2 already do something like community and design and so business development, sales, and we can just bring this and bring them to Web3. So yes, we can do this. So why not?
Yeah, in my company, I already brought 3 girls from the Web2 side, and they managed to get the idea pretty fast. So yeah, it was a very, very interesting journey. So
yeah, I have a question for you. So you're talking about your own company, and I think so. Okay, the question from me, and how it was for you to launch your own product, your own company. So as for women in this space, so how you figured out, and how did you find team for this, and maybe did you have a situation when men try to underestimate you and so on?
So the first question,
Okay.
how I've managed to build a team. Behind the idea, of course. And it took more time than I expected. But at some point, I decided to wait for the right people and not to make compromises with the mindset mostly and the culture fit. And because of this, at the end, I've chosen Web2 people because they were the best fit to the culture, to the vision, and they were passionate about Web3 and to enter this space. And after 6 months, it turns out that this was the best decision in this for this moment. They are already onboarded and they are building strategy like crazy. So if someone sees their work, they will never guess that they onboarded in the space just 6 months ago. So it's about passion, and if your mindset is there, you'll manage to onboard yourself.
And how did they find that passion? Just switching from Web2 to Web3. How did they find this passion?
They were passionate and interested in the space when I met them, but they didn't know how to enter the space. They were not very sure about the Shifi Academy or to be part of some communities like Barabadis or what needs to be the first step. And I just guide them how to do it, what to do, what to read, to not be afraid, to start using wallets, to start using dApps, and little by little, yeah.
Yeah, great. Honestly, I think it's one of the main points here in Web3 that it's difficult to onboard people from Web2. They just don't know what to do, like the first step, how to start.
Yeah, there are a lot of options for the first step. For example, all the video content on YouTube, crypto Twitter, Discord servers, friends, some local communities, but the communities most of the time are connected with different systems. So it's a bit chaotic. And you need, to start from somewhere, but this is the most difficult part most of the times, the first step. After the first step, it's getting easier.
Yeah, I think that Web3 is like, as for me, Web3 is like much faster, much like interesting than Web2, because when I used to work in Web2, so I remember, yes, we also had this conference, but it was very boring conference, which is just discussing some usual things. But here I can see that people are so driven and have a passion about Web3. So as for me, it's much more interesting. And we have a lot of podcasts, for example, and local communities and crypto Twitter. Okay, if we're talking about just traditional fintech, about traditional banking, where we can find, this local community, this crypto Twitter, for example, if we're talking about Revolut. So where is the community of Revolut? So where is the conference which is just random people want to attend, so we will not find it. But here we can see like a lot of people are here now.
Okay, I'm just going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here. So I think so when we talk about women in Web3, so I guess both of you, since we didn't do an intro round in the start, so I think both of you are from the marketing background or
I'm on the both sides. I'm co-founder of the DeFi protocol built with Cosmos Seredinschi.
Okay.
And on the other side, I'm leading a company focused on on-chain growth strategies. So yeah, it's connected with marketing, but on another level.
Okay.
I used to work as a product manager for a US-based startup. It's a cryptocurrency startup which detects and prevents suspicious crypto transactions. And after that, I switched to a business development position for drop stuff. It's like CoinGecko. We have our own commercial API with data. So yes.
I'm Hira. I'm co-founder of Plurality Network. So
Nice to meet you.
yeah, I think we should have done this in the start, but that's what happens when you don't have a moderator
Yes.
on the panel. But let me just act like a little bit like a devil's advocate. So I 100% agree that women are great marketers, great community builders, great CEOs, great visionaries, great strategists. So all of that is agreed. But what I feel that in Web3 right now, so every time somebody sees a woman, all they see is that she would be maybe a DevRel, maybe a CEO, maybe a marketer, maybe a community builder, but that's it. And to prove this, I actually, I used to work in Deutsche Telekom, and there I did, like we went to this conference in Miami. It's permissionless, it's a very famous conference. So we just did, and I wanted to prove this point to my colleague, who was working with me on the same project, but I was the technical architect and he was he was doing like sales and marketing stuff. And we just had the same conversation, and I went with him and I just said, like, I just told him, like, we will go to people and we will ask them, what's our role? And we did this with around 40 different people, and maybe other than one or two, majority of the people said that I'm the marketing person and he's the technical lead, even though it was the other way around. And that is my only wish from the Web3 space, because Web3 actually is a very level playing field. So there are so few developers, so few people. This is like literally like a small community of 30,000 people. And even here, somehow the same biases have to some way kind of like creeped into the community. Not saying that women are bad at community building. I think they are amazing, amazing community builders. But I just feel like we have the same tags here as well as in the general IT ecosystem. And I wish that this would have been a little bit different, considering that we talk about, breaking all biases. So yeah.
Yeah, I just want to tell you that I think, I don't want to have this frame that women is only like community builders or like business development, marketing, because, as for me, I used to study in a physical mathematical class in school, and if I just want to code or do something when I just studied in Web3, so I run a node on Ethereum, and after that I just use a lot of DeFi projects and study to trade on decentralized exchange, on centralized exchange. So honestly, I can do a lot of things. I just ran a smart contract on Ganache. So just using AI, for example, because you can figure out in different things. So that's why I just want to tell you that I think that technical stuff is not so difficult how some women can think. And that's why I think we can find a lot of women like software engineers and so on. Yeah, but they should understand that software engineering and technical stuff is also attractive, like marketing and other stuff.
So if we can change something in order to help more, let's say, students, girls, to enter the space, what will be this one thing?
I think that we should create, content materials for them. Okay, the first step, and one of the main steps is to show them the great examples, founders of protocols. I don't know, women who are speakers on the event. A good example of CEO and co-founders.
Like Bilyana, the Nobel's CEO.
Yeah.
She is a good example.
Yeah, and the second step, yes, maybe content creating, because if we will promote in media that women can be a good figure in Web3 space, so it will be attractive for them, and I want to attend, maybe we will hear this.
Yeah, I also think women should I think on average, I personally believe that women are much better on stage And like they really have, like, the moment they start using their voice, they're like so good speakers. And I believe that the more representation that they like kind of snatch from the overall industry, I think it would inspire other younger women to join the industry as well, because Web3 is actually really, really interesting.
Yes.
And I mean, the kind of things that the pace of the industry and the kind of things that you're able to do and the way you are able to like connect with people, find people. And I mean, I'm sitting here today because I dropped a random message to Vladimir on Dora hacks, and here we are now. So I mean, this kind of fast-paced culture you cannot find anywhere else. And we just need to tell more people that this is the kind of impact that every hour that you're working, this is the kind of impact that you can have. And I think if we're able to do this, then not only women but young people, more people from Web2, we can kind of like onboard a lot more professionals into the industry. And I think that's something that we are lacking. So it's not just about women, but in general, we need to onboard more people. Because we're too few here.
Yeah, too few still. So I wish next year these chairs to be filled.
Will be 10x bigger.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
How do you think exists difference between targeting of the products? So some applications, as most of these users are men, the applications and user interfaces also built for the men. And as the result, some applications, they are very easy for men, but women look and don't want to use it because it's not a targeted woman, or maybe not made for women. Because some of the products made like the men's, where they are thinking about bloody days and other stuff. So like if men's will construct it for women will tell, oh my God, what I am doing for us. Yes, so it means, can it be the, how do you think? Is it, all our tools and products are orientated on both gender equally, or can we see the disbalance in the design or architecture? Or
Honestly, I have a quick answer on it. I just want to disagree with this statement because, okay, let's have this example, Uniswap. And okay, they have like a rose logo with a pony on it, so I'm not sure that it's for men. So that's why I can say that the design like is for women, and other application which we have, it's also like for both genders, because you know, like this like unisex, something like this kind of sounds. Yeah, so we can also I don't know, wear black t-shirt, like men can wear black t-shirt. So I'm not sure that it's all about design.
I would actually like to agree. So I have a completely different opinion. So the project or the product that I'm developing, it's heavily focused on UI and UX. And I've had these discussions with so many different women and men, like, okay, do you find this easy? Do you find this difficult? Do you find this? And you know, the response that I've gotten, so the target market that I actually want to bring into Web3 is actually a 40 to 50 woman. And and if you go on my Twitter, you'll say that I keep saying, everyone, I'm not going to stop until my mom uses Web3. So this is kind of like a pun that I say, because that's the target market that I want to bring. And when I talk to these women, they say, most of these, like, I have talked to couples where the male partner is doing like bridging and swapping and this and that and everything. And the woman is like, no, I'm not going to put my money into this, and I'm not going to spend my time into this. And when I talked to them, it was a very funny incident. Like I talked to this woman and she said, when I come back from home from office, I have to cook, I have to do laundry, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. I am not going to spend my time learning how to bridge or swap unless the company that wants me to do it makes it easier for me, because I don't have the mental capacity. So this is, I don't think this is like a problem that they cannot understand it, but they just say that why do they spend so much time on a risky asset where they can lose their money, and also they have to spend so much time doing all of this. And I mean, I know that this is kind of like, we don't want to say this because it kind of puts women in a bad light, that okay, can we not figure out how to bridge or swap? Of course we can, but do we have the mental capacity? I have a 2-year-old daughter, and God knows I also don't have that mental capacity. Because this is so, and regarding the Uniswap is a very good example. That is the one application that I feel like actually has put some effort into UX. But go to the majority of newer projects, not like Coinbase or something, but newer projects, it's all black screen, it's all space thingy, like the background is all space, as if you're doing something very interstellar. The UX is not very like appealing, and most of them does not even have a sign-in with Google or sign-in with email that kind of improves UX a bit, even though there are like self-custodial options where you can just simply sign in with Google. Everyone like wants you to create a wallet, download a wallet, create seed phrases. This is too much friction. And to be honest, I don't even think like, other than a 15 to 30-year-old men, even men who are like more farther, like between 40 to 50 men even would want to do this. So I do think that there is a huge UX problem. Yeah.
How do you think maybe we need have not only dark theme and pricing, but also male version and female version that people can choose?
No, I think
or,
yes, third version. I think we shouldn't have this white, just minimalistic style, which is like very popular now in different things in our lives. So why we shouldn't have only black and white? So I think it's okay. As we're talking, okay. What about me? I have never had problems with the user interface and so on, especially when we have AI, because you can just do a screenshot and ask AI to explain this for you, how to use this and so on. And if we're talking about this thing like regarding chores, regarding, I don't know, cooking something and so on. So I think that if you will think like, okay, if I will invest my money in this risky asset, I can earn more money in the future. Okay, I can lose more money, but also I can earn more money. So, okay, I will prefer to spend my time on doing this, on figuring out how can I invest my money more than just, okay, I just want to do the chores. So, okay, I prefer things that can shape my future, not just do stuff like in nowadays, like just cooking.
I agree. I mean, the example that I gave was not something that should happen in an ideal scenario, but this is just something like this. This was one of the customer interviews, things like that kind of stayed with me during a customer interview. And to answer your question, does Facebook have 2 versions? Or does YouTube has 2 versions? Does Netflix has 2 versions? No.
Yeah, very good answer.
They have just one version that's easy enough for the majority of the population to just, use it.
for me now, it's interesting to check the web page that are targeting only women and see after the difference in the design and the UX for the between unisex web pages and web pages that targeting only females, and see if is any difference between them, and if no, then we can get one, and if yes, we may be
Sorry.
another. But I just didn't check.
You know, Vladi, it sounds like you're talking about adult content, not about Web3 space. Yeah, because like.
No, is this like the how?
Why we should target audience like?
What will be the difference between, for example, web page that about repairing the cars and the web page about the cosmetics? Will we have it will be the the same structures just with different colors, or it will be 2 different structures? For me, it's I don't know how I need to check.
I don't think there are any applications that are targeting women like that, because I mean, I really want to answer your question in the best way possible. I don't think that there is anything like that. So we don't have enough data set to actually figure out if there is a difference or not. Do you guys know of any like?
No.
I also don't think so.
Yeah,
Like
DeFi Academy, but it's not an application, so it's just an approach to onboard women.
Yeah, I think it's not about just the colors or like the aesthetics. It's more about the steps required to use an application. And right now the steps are too much. And it's not just women that are being churned. It's like in general, like entire like groups of people that are being churned. Like for example, 23% of people just churn when the moment they see that they need to download a wallet. Instant churn there. Okay, even if you somehow like make them a wallet through sign in with email or Gmail or whatever. At that point, the moment they realize, oh, I need a token for paying the gas, how do I even do that? 30% churn at that point. Once you do that and then you realize, okay, now you have a wallet, now you have some tokens, or maybe there was gas subtraction in the app that we were using. At that point, maybe you figure out, okay, I need to do a swap or a bridge. What is a swap or a bridge? And then another 30% are gone. And at the end of the day, how even if 100 people landed on your website, at the end maybe it's 5 were left that actually did the whole process. That is a big problem. And with the earlier example, I just wanted to say that even though this is a generic problem, but it's just that the target market that I am more talking to, they're like, we don't have the mental space for this. So yeah. So I think it's a generic UX problem. It's not just like a website built for women or a website built for men, but more like we need to improve the UX, because Netflix is something that's a 5-year-old, okay, not a 5, that's an exaggeration, but a 10-year-old can use. And Facebook is also something people like, kids make their Facebook when they're 11 or 12, Snapchat, all of these Web2 examples, they have pretty intuitive UX. And I think that's why this is, but again, there's also a lot of work being done in making interoperability between chains, even Cosmos, most of that work, then gas abstraction, then native token swapping, then Polygon is doing amazing work with Aglair. So I think we get that. And this is why you need a moderator.
Yes.
Okay, do you have any other questions? Audience, do you have questions for us? We just want to answer. We have one more. He will come. Yes, you can go here and you can have a microphone. Don't be afraid. You can come. Yes, come here.
It's a very short question.
Yeah.
So basically, there are a lot of like code initiatives which want to reach as many women as possible, as many women as possible to coding, and they're running for more than 5 years. I see a lot of companies supporting that, and in many cases, let's say the ROI for these initiatives is not really big. On the contrary, I have like several really positive examples in which a company would track some particular female talent, acquire it into the company, and then it's these women, they became like really great specialists and leadership. So would you agree that this kind of first, I would say, socialist approach kind of failed, because we need to hunt for quality rather than quantity? Once we have like quantity, like really high profile and very talented female leaders, the others will come after that. For example.
That's actually an interesting way. So I think that the point you're trying to make is that the ROI on women training programs is not so great even in Web2. So I don't know how to answer this in a perfect way, but I think, if, for example, don't you think that this is also something, if, for example, like 2 students that just graduated out of university and they enter into a work area, an office, and 5 years later, the male counterparts are still like progressing very good, still doing it, but somewhere along the lines, women kind of stayed back or left or something. Don't you think this could also be a cultural problem at the workplaces? Because let's get real. Every person's peak working years are between 20 to 40. Right? So after that, you're like I would say 20 to 40 is the peak or prime working time, or maybe 20 to 40 time, 45. That's the time, that's the area where your every long hours that you spend at the office, every travel exposure that you go to, like every conference that you go to, everything is compounding. And that's where you have to spend the most time in building up your career. But there is also a parallel timeline that's happening, and that's women's childbearing years. Most of the women that I've met are exactly stressed about it, because the timeline of building a career and the timeline of having kids kind of coincides, and this is extremely difficult. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I can tell you this is one of the most difficult things to do, to balance a career, to balance a child, and not consistently having this guilt that you're not running your company best, you're not doing your job the best, you're not being a mother the best. This is very difficult. And right now, the only reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing is because Germany has pretty great, solid policies around children. And that is the only reason why you see that I'm here today, why I think I'm able to do everything, I'm able to balance everything. But Germany is an exception. Like the majority, like outside of Europe, nowhere in the world are there similar policies that provide this kind of protection. And I think that is why a lot of women are kind of forced out of Web 2 or Web 3. And IT demands long hours. Even if you are thinking about community building, that demands a lot of traveling to different. Sometimes you have to go to Miami, sometimes you have to go to TESCON in Thailand. I mean, this group, we have our conferences everywhere around the world, and like 12-hour, 14-hour flights, and we're not talking about just going and coming back in 2 days. We're really going for like 3-week-long hackathons and stuff. How are you supposed to manage that? So, I mean, this is one of the biggest reasons. And even women in Web3, the women that I talk to are completely stressed, especially the ones that are between 30 to 35 years of age. They're like, we are at a very good point in our careers. We have a promotion lined up. We're working great, but we also want to have kids someday, and we are running out of time. So I know a lot of people will think very differently about this. Maybe you have a different opinion about this, but
no, I just want to add something that regarding this history about children, raising kids, and so on. So maybe we can ask fathers to go to maternity leave.
Yes.
Yeah, beside of women.
Yes.
Fathers.
Yes, of course we should.
Yeah, we can ask them, but yeah, not sure.
Yeah,
They will react.
They will agree. Yeah.
I have a boy 5 years old already, and he was a witness of a lot of ups and downs while building the DeFi protocol and now building the marketing company. But yeah, agree with you that it's a crazy journey, and you need to balance between the two most important things in your life. And it's a matter of passion to be the best possible parent, and passion to be the most
passion
on the
But
build.
do you think policies play a role here?
It plays a role, but the impact is not so huge in my journey.
Okay.
Because I was based at this point in Bulgaria, where the policy is even more, flexible than the one here. We can have 2 years of maternity leave, and I didn't use it. I used, I think, 1 week.
Really, 1 week after?
No, I'm not
able to.
I was back at the office 5 days after I gave birth, so I'm not the best example.
Honestly, it's honor to be here with you.
Yeah.
As I said,
That's crazy. That's
crazy.
crazy.
journey. The guy there is smiling because he's part of the team. And I just love to build things. And my kid is one of them, but not the only one. And this is something that I faced in a very, very, very early stage, like a mother, to not feel guilty of what I'm passionate about.
And how many
Be
hours?
honest.
How many hours do you spend for work per day?
For work?
For work.
Work. At least 10.
10.
Yeah,
And-
but I trying to split in this type of schedule, to be able to be with the kid, and then I'm going back.
I mean, amazing job done, but this is not something that we should expect from every woman, because it is very tough. And even though you're seeing like superstar woman here who has been an example of strength, but if you expect that level of strength and passion and ambition and a bit of craziness, if you don't mind me saying, from every woman, then of course you will not get it. And this is something that even most of the men would not do. So like this is something that you should not expect from any human being. And that is one of the reasons why I think that the ROI of such programs is less. Because there are two timelines that are overlapping. And of course, this is not probably the best answer. I should be here coming up with solutions, but this is something that I spend a lot of time thinking about, and I don't have any solution yet. So
I think the advice is to trust your gut. If you want to work, but don't feel guilty. If you feel guilty, it's not the right way.
Yeah, that's right. And regarding this question, I just want to add that I'm not sure about these programs, with onboarding women in coding and software engineering, Web3. Okay, what inspires me, what motivates me is when I see a real good example of women who are already like successful in this space, and it really motivates me, inspires me, and I want to be like them because I can see a very good example. So that's why I can see that we need a really good example of successful women in this space, and it will motivate women to go and work and code and be a software engineer if we are talking about technical specialization.
I think returnship programs are also something that are creating a positive impact.
Yes.
So returnship programs are basically, so for example, if you took a break, and we all know Web3 or even IT industries moves crazy fast. So for example, if you take a 1, 2, or 3 year break, and then you're like, okay, now I'm done with this part of so I did my responsibility. Now I feel ready to jump back into the corporate world, whatever. Then there are many companies that offer returnship programs. So it's like a 3 to 6 months internship kind of, where they kind of bring you up to date with the newest skills. Your salary is a little bit less normally in this time, but I've personally seen many women opt this path as well. So they go to a returnship program, spend 6 months there, learn the newest tools out there. Some of the women I know actually got into DevOps because of like a returnship program, and now she's working at Tesla as a senior DevOps engineer. So I feel that work also pretty well. So maybe like the ROI of returnship programs would be better as compared to just trying to like bring more women into Web3. Personal opinion again. Any more questions?
Yes.
What can men do to create a better environment for girls or females to feel comfortable within the space if they don't do so already?
Earn more money.
Involve them into your conversations, involve them into the politics or whatever, because I mean, every office has politics, and I've never been involved in politics because everyone thought, we cannot let the only woman in the team tell about all the things that are happening around, but this actually kind of hurts your chances to move up the ranks as well. And then just stop treating them like a woman. I mean, not saying like just be bad with them, but just treat them like a normal human being, and they will. I think they will appreciate it. That's what I wanted throughout my career as well. Just stop treating me like a woman that you need to take care of, that you need to after office party, you need to make sure that she's. mean, there were still some male colleagues that made sure that I was always home safe and everything. But the way they did it was in a very friendly way that it didn't make me feel like, oh, we need to protect you. Oh, you're this precious person that we need to protect, because that kind of makes you feel like you're more vulnerable than the other party. So just act good.
I have a question. We are organizing like cohorts for entrepreneurs remotely. How do I get more women convinced to join?
Ask successful women to invite.
He has a successful woman on his team as well.
Just spread the word.
This is so it's like accelerator, or what is this?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be a platform for founders, but in the end, we ended up with an accelerator program. Yes, and we have like 80%, 85% men.
Okay, I have an answer on this question because, for example, I used to watch some bloggers on the YouTube, like Leila Hermosi and Natalie Dawson, and these two women. They have their own business, and they're talking about their path, their professional path, career path, and I think these women really can motivate other women to start their own business. So maybe you should create content on the YouTube about this example. So like you can build your own business. You can be a founder of this DeFi protocol and so on. So maybe it will help.
Yeah, you can use this 15%.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we don't have any more questions.
Do we have more questions?
No. Come on.
Time as well.
Yeah, I think it was enough.
Sorry if we guys bored you. We tried to improvise as much as we could and really try to have an honest discussion. It turned into a fireside chat, not like a
It was great.
discussion. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks.
Friends, I ask you to take your seats, please. We will start next topic.
Hey everyone, some of you saw me yesterday already. Today I'll talk about the interesting stuff. Yesterday I talked about the useful stuff. I hope that this eventually, oh my gosh, Jacob, I hope you're gonna be all right. Today I talk about the financial crisis on chain, which is maybe a bit of a controversial topic. My name is Jan, I'm from Oak Security. We are 52 people, have over 600 audits completed. We do cybersecurity and more than 6,000 issues discovered. Work with all the large brands, particularly in the Cosmos ecosystem, but also very big on the EVM side of things, and also offer move audits. Yesterday I already talked about this, where I asked, are blockchains actually secure? They use cutting-edge cryptography, but are thought to be unbreakable. And then I told you, well, protocols are not unbreakable, and specifically decentralized protocols are kind of soft targets for North Korean hackers. I just wrote an article about this, which was published yesterday on CoinDesk. You can read that if you want. And basically I argued, well, there is humans on top of a decentralized system, and usually the path the hackers choose is to go the route and compromise the humans. Right, so the reality is humans are not very rational, and we like to argue about stuff. So and we particularly like to argue about the economics on chain, right? We still don't have a consensus if, for example, Bitcoin is secure or not. So there are a lot of economic exploit vectors on chain that basically are borderline exploits and are borderline arbitrage.
So, and I want to talk specifically about this economic layer today. So, an easy example is like misaligned incentives and centralization risks, kind of Ponzi or pyramid schemes within the tokenomics of projects that exploit people. But there's also market manipulations, and then there are systemic and structural vulnerabilities. Later I'll talk about these systemic pieces first. First of all, I'll talk about like the more short-term risks and short-term attacks. Two famous of those include the Euler finance exploit and the Beanstalk attack. In the case of Euler finance, it was a flash loan attack, one of the first big economics attacks, where people exploited basically the fact that a donor could donate into a pool, thereby manipulate the exchange rate, and then get a lot of money out of it. Beanstalk, well, basically somebody bought a bunch of governance tokens, and then they basically managed to compromise the DAO behind it. And now, very recently, something else happened. And before I tell you exactly what happened, I have to tell you now that I told you so. So 3 years ago, I wrote this economic issue, which I found auditing a perpetual swap DeFi protocol. And therein I said that the risk fund can be basically drained due to unpriced Vega risk. So what does that even mean? So with perpetual pools, you have two options basically. You can go long or you can go short. And if the volatility goes up, your position likely is way more volatile than the asset, because you typically trade with leverage. So what can you do? Typically, there's only so much liquidity available to liquidate positions. That means you can open two positions. One is position A, the other is position B, and they cancel each other out. Now, if the volatility increases and liquidity conditions are not there, that means one of those trades wins and one of those trades loses. But now, if these positions are very large, one gets liquidated early, and the other one keeps in there sitting. And maybe, if you're a great financial engineer, you can engineer your way out of the first liquidation. So that means the profit of one of the trades is uncapped, as it can raise to infinity, and the other one is capped by the liquidation amount, basically. And yeah, actually people said, oh my gosh, yeah, that's really, I don't know, we don't necessarily agree with you, and this is an edge case, we're not very sure if this should be in an audit report, it's a bit esoteric. Then Hyperliquid happened, which was exactly this attack, and in a very interesting way. In the end, the protocol made even profit. But they didn't make profit in the first act of this whole attack. This attack played out as described, but then the protocol decided to in a centralized way, set the price to a price before the attack, which cost some people some money, even users of the protocol, but in the end made the protocol a 700K profit. You can read the article on Rec News. Also, you can read my commentary on Crypto.news. And there I explained that this issue is still present in many protocols. I even think that Hyperliquid did not fully fix the issue. Or that, there's a remaining risk that this might happen again. Well, what can you do to prepare against those specific economic attacks? I think it's in the operations cycle, in the whole development cycle, is mostly the design and the operations part. that is relevant here. So during the design phase, you can specify and simplify the architecture and make sure to include test cases like this. And during the operation phase, and I think this is where Hyperliquid has done a good job now, you can do basically better monitoring and alerting and implement circuit breakers. But then there's a whole other realm of economic attack vectors. First and foremost, there's the long-range attack. Long-range attack is an attack that basically can undermine any kind of blockchain system, and it exploits the fact that basically you could acquire old validator keys. So, for example, if your current validator decides to go out of business, they still have their key. Now they can sell it to somebody else who wants it 10 years later, and with these keys, people could, in theory, in proof-of-stake systems, fork a chain and then basically create a whole fake chain of transactions, a whole fake blockchain that lures other validators into thinking that is the real chain. This is a lot discussed in academia, and this could eventually lead to a situation where like the one entire blockchain is just wiped out. Then there's a second scenario, which I call Bitcoin at the end of the world, and many more. But I'll also talk about how liquid staking can break consensus. So the point that I want to bring across with these long-term economic attacks is that we build these trustless, decentralized systems, but actually we put a lot of trust into them. So I think like the one best example is not the long-range attack, because this is already very technical. I think the best trust assumption is to ask yourself, okay, what happens at the day when Satoshi's Bitcoin wallet moves, right? So where will the price go? And in a way, we all trust that, no, he's gone, he's died, this thing, but it's a bit of a religious belief, and at least this is not a trustless system. We don't know, we cannot know that nobody has access to his wallet, right? And at that point, the price might just tank. He might rock pull us or but we don't know about this. Then this is a thing like the liquid staking versus consensus, where I hope that I'll never be on stage and tell you I told you so. But I think it's important to discuss this point because it's discussed too little, and it plays a great role for validators and liquid staking and consensus and really the infrastructure that we are operating on. So just I want to recap the basics on how consensus and liquid staking works. Basically, slashing is needed to align the incentives during consensus, right? And also validators have an incentive to not get slashed. And that means they either obey consensus or they do something else. And investors ask validators to have a slashing insurance. That in the end means that slashing has little or less of an effect on their incentives. And then there's a third fact, and that is liquid staking derivatives are tradable, and those are tradable also with leverage, for example, on perp protocols, on secondary markets. But we could also imagine other markets. We could also say, I could go short into a liquid staking derivative in an over-the-counter deal. So what could happen? This is an easy example of a toy model, and then I'll tell you how this could generalize. So imagine you have a protocol that works fine, and you have a liquid staking smart contract-based system. And now in this, the liquid staking pool just has one validator, right? And people stake to this liquid staking validator and get their liquid staking token. Now, what this one validator can do is just they decide that they just want to show a bit of, throw a bit of shit against the fan, and they just don't do their job anymore. So they get slashed. That means that the liquid staking derivative, the liquid staking token of this toy example will immediately fall. But at the same time, this validator has had the opportunity to do something forbidden on the main consensus, right? Because he was able to, he did something that got him slashed. Right, now what I want to characterize is that in this toy model, the liquid staking derivative will respond very strongly to misbehavior of the validator. So if you can short this liquid staking derivative with leverage, you can possibly hedge or buy yourself an insurance against getting slashed. And this could go to a point where slashing could even become profitable. And now we can generalize this, and this is what it did in a paper, that we say, okay, now this is not one validator, this validator doesn't have full control over the liquid staking derivative, but maybe they have some control over it. And at the same time, they can, for example, if you combine it with an eclipse attack, where you attack other validators of the main consensus, undermine the consensus a little bit. For example, blocking block production and so on. And this leads to a situation where these two validator sets can influence how the liquid staking derivative and the underlying main asset of the chain correlate, or how they behave. And this can be exploited with financial mathematics to basically compromise the whole protocol and maybe cause a financial crisis. So what can we do to, what can liquid staking protocols do? What can ecosystems do? Well, first and foremost, avoid non-overlapping validator sets at all costs, doing quantitative analysis, monitoring, and I think what's very important here is just user awareness. So talk about these things, that these things could happen, and have that in mind. As I said, unfortunately today, my talk is not so practical. Yesterday was the day where I told everyone, okay, look, here are the things that you have to do to fix things. Here, like, we are in a world where, yeah, it's tough to fix those things, and we have come up with great solutions, but first time is to be aware of those things. So what's the TLDR? Economic and smart contract layer can have an effect on the consensus layer. We need to be aware of that. Then at the same time, collusion can be an emergent phenomenon. So what I mean by that, that validators' incentives get compromised might not be the result of some evil master plan. They might just have an incentive first and foremost to hedge a little bit against slashing. Then investors ask them to hedge more against slashing. Then some of the validators leave the set. And then suddenly it turns out that slashing is now profitable for them. And maybe one of them has a financial problem. And then they decide to exploit this a little bit, right? It doesn't need to be a coordinated effort from day one. It can just appear that the incentives erode slowly over time. And we don't talk about this enough. That's what I think. And finally, and this is the more or less last point, I want to highlight there's a new economic threat, and this is regulation. So currently, the US regulators try to create demand for US debt via stablecoins. So this is the Genius Act and the Stable Act. And at the same time, Mica hits the brakes for stablecoins, but might even break the euro with that. What do I mean with that? The Mica regulation was meant to stop stablecoins. At the same time, the US regulation now suddenly tries to boost stablecoins. And this creates a strong imbalance between the euro and the US. And at the same time, and that's what I talk about in this paper, is that due to MiCA, fiat currencies such as the euro could become volatile. So, yeah, this is a paper with the former chair of the Central Bank of Iceland. His name is Jón Egilsson. He is at King's College currently, and you can read the whole paper here. And if you don't want to read the paper, because when I show it to other crypto people, they always say, like, I don't understand shit. I also have a podcast with him. It's called Meta Markets, and you can listen in and get the thing as an easy digest. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you back just slide, please?
This one?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I hope, yeah, everybody has fun with diving into regulation and stablecoins. And with that, I think you're the next, right?
Yeah, but of course, I have also some questions and about preventing it. First, this liquid staking specific. It's not in all networks. And for example, solutions for liquid staking on Atom on Strike, they have 0% slashing. So validator can go to jail, but nothing. But slashing is 0%. This is kind of one solution to prevent any manipulations with slashing. And a second interesting moment about the one validator big get. What if we will decentralize the governance of the validator and with the good decentralized infrastructure, and for example, with the multi-sig on the to update the validator, and with the DAO that will cover this validator, we can prevent such situations. So it means in case of the validator POSTHUMAN, theoretically, practically, we can shut down any node because we are responsible for them. But practically, we will never do it without voting on proposal, because we was promised, we tell to our validators. Now we can shut down machine only if you will vote on proposal. And if you want to shut down machine, we have the proposal. We are waiting for the working and do by the result. If community vote no, and it's already happened several times, we don't shut down the machine, even if it's not profitable or public. And in this, and we understand that it's not 100% decentralization for now, but it means, but we can implement it in the future with some decentralized servers and some AI agents, so on, so on. So, what if the decentralized networks will be validated by decentralized validators?
That's a great question. And I think the idea stays pretty much the same. Like, because the DAO would then, I mean, it depends on the values of the DAO, and it would depend on the sentiment and the feeling of the people that vote. But in the end, if the DAO sees that the DAO can make a profit with manipulating the validator set and shutting it down, in theory, you know, a nice DAO could go rogue. And that's maybe that's a good reason to have a constitution, or I don't know, maybe a paragraph in the DAO constitution to basically tell, okay, we don't want that downtime occurs at any point by voting of a governance proposal unless there's an emergency. And then I don't know, the attack vector that somebody claims like this is an emergency, you have to, you know.
And so how do you think about another solution? Maybe we have such situation because our tokens like a shampoo, 3-in-1. It's a security token, it's an economical token, it's a governance token. But what if we will separate them and security token will be not tradable? You can't buy it, you can't sell it. Some kind of proof of time concept of conception. And economical tokens just to pay the fees to participate in DeFi, and you don't use it in the security. This is just like a fees goes to the validators based on the amount of the security tokens that validator have, and validator have so much security tokens as he was signed the blocks. For example, like this, like more validator was in the network, more security tokens have, more incentives from the economical token. So if we will separate token, we will create two tokens, one security, one economic. Okay, will it help to prevent the situation or not?
So the question is, can you put the people in jail? If you can put the people in jail, I would say it helps. But then we need to be able to put people in jail, and we have to deal with the incentives there. The thing is, if you create a non-tradable token, and that sits in your wallet, right? I could still come up with a token that tokenizes your wallet and makes your wallet tradable. Like in theory, and the question is like, how do you forbid the tradability, or how do you prevent that? If you can pull it off, it's fine.
Of transfers. So it will be not transferable token.
But I give you, I don't know, I give you a certain amount of money, and you give me your wallet.
Right.
Yeah. This can still happen, right? And I think that's always if you can prevent that part, yes, I believe you. But if you cannot really make sure that you can prevent this, then it's more difficult. And you have to put people in jail if they do it, right? That's always the problem with that.
No, you need to find solution without jail, or we will just get penalty, not real Web3, but we will get Web2 on the blockchain.
Yeah, that's the. So we need a way to prevent this. We need, I don't know, to attach the keys to biologically you. Maybe that's possible with, I don't know,
neural interfaces.
Yeah, exactly. Neural interfaces or something like that could possibly work. If your brain is your wallet.
Well, ledger-based wallet, something that's hardware.
Yeah, but you can tell me your hardware wallet, right? I can give you. I mean, I can give you a bit of gold, and you give me your ledger, and then I got it, even though it's not tradable.
So it's harder to prove that you were hacked when that happened, right?
Yeah.
The authorities, I mean, you can say your ledger was stolen, but you can't.
Yeah, I think it is true. Yeah. Okay. Many thanks.
Actually, I mean, thank you for everything that you delivered yesterday and today. I appreciate very much. We also met that interview, and after the discussions with you, my level of consciousness about security, I think, is much higher. In fact, I am terrified.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Now, so in Nolus, we are trying to, at least at the first stage, to use a standard software. And what I mean by standard software is basically, SDK, POSTHUMAN, and then DAO. And I understand that, of course, you have a lot of risks coming from, let's say, organizational management. So those that are coming from the DAO side. But for me, those are also happening or could happen in the traditional world. Yeah, so those are similar, let's say. But when it comes to pure technical potential of exploring you code, what is the level of risk that we have if we use only standard software?
I mean, that relates really to my presentation yesterday more than the one today. And I think standard software is great in a way, because if everybody uses standard software, like it's way easier to audit everything, and it's way easier to make it secure. But at the same time, when everybody uses standard software, everybody is exposed to the same risks. That's what I would think. Is that answering your question?
Yeah, I mean, the question was about, what is the level of risk for the people that are promoting some project, right? Because at the end, those people are putting their money, putting their life, putting their energy. So the last thing they want is to go bust.
Yeah.
So the point is, what is the level in comparison, to all these terrifying list of things that can happen when you are using the standard software? Is it decreasing substantially, and now the risks are like a 10% only of everything that could happen? What is your view?
So, okay, I will explain it a bit metaphorical. Yeah? Let's say everybody uses this same chair, and everybody sits down on it. It's really easy to control like what this chair does. And if it's a great chair, we are all safe. But it's a bad chair and we all sit on it, we all have our ass on the floor. And I think that's end of story. So it really depends on what you mean with standard. If the standard is good, that's awesome. If the standard is, and I think that's the question, like which ecosystem do you trust? And I think the great thing about, for example, the Cosmos ecosystem is that it's all a bunch of tech nerds. It's not a lot of people who are coming for the meme. They're like, I think like Cosmos is like the Linux of the blockchain world, like where people are in it for the tech. But still, even in the Linux kernel, like I think a couple of weeks ago, somebody vibe coding with an LLM discovered a critical vulnerability. So I think it's still, like anything can break, and obviously using standards and using audited standards decreases the factor of risking something drastically. But I cannot tell you like a general ballpark of like how long a thing needs to exist until it's like 10x more safe than something else. That's difficult to say. But don't write your own crypto as a general rule, like as a cryptography.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Friends, now will be about some Sputnik, and also I will tell about projects that are mentioned here. So, friends, really glad to present you very interesting application and project that we try to build. Just imagine that you can send any transaction or buy any NFT or exchange any NFT or stake any token without wallet. You don't need MetaMask, you don't need Kepler, you don't need to remember 12 words, you don't need to record them on the paper, and you need to care about two-factor authentication of your Twitter or Telegram or Gmail or any other two socials. So, how we can do it and for what do we need it? At first, this is pretty easy concept that we've got many years ago. It's a PayPal. When I can send you some fiat, not to the bank account, but to your email. And how it's happened? How we can send from my email to your email? Very easy. Some people attach bank card to email. I attach my bank card to email. When I tell send from my email to this email, transfer go by the card, from card to card, Very easy. This is recorded in the system. Cool, nice. So we can do the same with the crypto addresses. We can have blockchain where we will create records. This email attached to this address and this email attached to this address. Who will create these addresses? In 2017 was created, as my opinion, second the most important paper. Yes, first most important, it's a white paper of Bitcoin, and second, it's a manifesto of crypto decentralists. And it was starting from the words that blockchain will rule the world, and it will be big increasing of the some humans and artificial agents. Yes, now we understand that if some digital identity can control private key and make transactions in the blockchain, for us it's the same as the human. And we are going to the age of AI agents that will have their mnemonics, their private keys, and can sign the transactions. Moreover, we don't need even AI for this. We can use any bot. Yes, so any program can have own private key, own mnemonic, and from one mnemonic we can create endless amount of private keys. And moreover, we can create such situation when we, with zero knowledge proof, create encrypted mnemonic that we even don't know and give it under control of the some digital creature, and not developers, nobody else don't know how to decrypt it. So this is what will be the Sputnik. Sputnik, it will be the digital creature that have own mnemonic, and maybe not one, maybe many, and we don't know what is this mnemonic. And this digital creature have several abilities, and main ability is to create addresses. So when the user, anybody who have Web2 socials, join the Sputnik, what's happening? For example, we can join with the Instagram. It's check our Instagram, we connected to Instagram. Okay, now it will tell that okay, let's sign with the GitHub. Always when you want to show something not really work, but okay. Okay, with GitHub it work. So for example, I'm a developer and I have a GitHub and I don't have MetaMask or something, and some people tell me, friend, thank you for your program. I want to send you some crypto, USDC or USDT, where to send? And the developer tell, please send it on my GitHub. Okay, how it happens? When I connected with the GitHub, Sputnik, check blockchain. And where is the GitHub? Do we have such GitHub? No, we don't have such username of GitHub in the blockchain. Sputnik tell, this is big mistake. We need to create such a record. And Sputnik create new address and create the record in the blockchain. Such GitHub have such address. And when I connected, I already have an address. And now I can perform any actions from this address. I have different balances. I can send, I can, of course, deposit. I can exchange. I can perform any functions that blockchain gives me. Because this is how it happens. I stop to sign the transactions by myself because I don't have wallet. I always ask, hey, digital creature, Sputnik, you create for me this address, so you will sign transactions for me. Sputnik tell, yeah, okay. If you can't remember 12 words, of course I will do it. We need to help to such people. Yes, this is our responsibility to help to the people with mental problems. Sputnik will have own pay fee pool to pay fees for those who can't remember 12 words. Yes, so we will even help to other people. And in this case, I always ask Sputnik to perform transactions from my address, but all the time Sputnik just check who is asking me to send this to sign this transaction. This account, this username, This person authorized with this username? Yes, authorized. Okay, I will sign. If you not authorized with username, Sputnik tell no, I will not sign the transactions for you. So here is, people always ask me such question. So is it mean if somebody will steal my Twitter, they will control my address? No, in case if you connected only with one Twitter, yes. But we can make a multi-sig on the Web2 socials. You can connect Telegram, Twitter, and Instagram and tell, friend, to perform any transactions from my address, I need to be connected minimum with 2 from 3 or with 3 from 5. So if even any attacker or Elon Musk will block your account in the Twitter, you just go to the Sputnik, connect it with Telegram, connect it with the Instagram, and tell, let's change the Twitter. Sputnik check, oh, you connected with 2 from 3, okay. But if somebody steal your Twitter, connected somewhere, try to perform any transaction, Sputnik tells, sorry, friend, please connect with Instagram or with Telegram. I need 2 from 3 or 3 from 5. Other way, I will not perform transactions. So such kind of the multi-sig on the Web2 and possibility to send transactions without wallets open in front of us more interesting functions. So, of course, a lot of activity, it's trading and NFTs or some marketplaces, yes? So with Twitter or Instagram and without any wallet, you will be able to trade on the DEXs. And you will have possibility not only to trade DEXs on the DEXs, you will able to stake, to add liquidity to the pools, you will be able to create your own tokens. And thanks to Busy and thanks to Stefan, because Sputnik will use all this brilliant code that Stefan created in the Sputnik. Thank you, Stefan, for joining Sputnik. This is so great and amazing to get such cool developers. And just imagine that you want to buy NFT and you don't really know what I need to pay for NFT. Sputnik will show to you Ethereum marketplaces, Solana marketplaces, any kind of marketplaces. You just choose which NFT you want to buy and you perform this transaction from your Twitter, from GitHub, from something. So how it can be used, what's the main reason of this? And main reason of this is to give to the people possibility to accept the payments in any cases. And this is it. I think that one of the main target group of the Sputnik app is webcam employers, because they always think how to accept. So just imagine that some beautiful girl take the photo of her beautiful body, create NFTs, tell, please give me the list of my followers on OnlyFans, create multi-cent transaction, put their usernames. She don't need to collect any addresses. We can send it by the usernames. And tell, send 1,000 NFTs to my 1,000 followers. And write, hey boy, this is 30%. And I can show you much more. Just join. Yes, of course, it can be even bars, it can be even closed shops. Yes, just imagine the bars that have Instagram, they create 1,000 NFT tickets, like 30% discount on tequila, take the list of my followers, send to my 1,000 followers 1,000 discounts, tell friend, come to Friday, you will get 30% discount with this NFT. So such possibilities open not only these solutions, we can also make abstract accounts on the NFTs and addresses. So it will be possible to have an NFT, and this NFT will be able to control address.
So just imagine it as inventory. So you have Twitter account that control address that's created by Sputnik. On this address, you have NFT that's control the address, and on this address you can give NFT tokens, and this NFT can stake these tokens, claim their rewards, and even vote on proposals. And we can create such long structures like NFTs that control address, that control another address, that control another NFT, that control address, and we can even make such circles. And it will open in front of us new kind of the abstract account contract programming languages, but all of it, of course, little bit in front of us. And now all we want to do is just make our lives a little bit easier and create cool abstract account payment system. And if you are very interested in such easy tool, join Sputnik Network as the developer, as ambassador, and after all these days listening about security from Jan, I invite you as the advisor to the Sputnik Network. We need your advices about security.
Friends, now I want to call on the stage our next speakers, and this is pretty big amount of the people. Thom from Plant Network. Pedro wrote us that he's really sorry, but he can't. Puya, from Nolus Protocol. Tigran, I also here. Noam, please, and Nicolas, So, friends, this is one of the main topics in whole crypto. So, if we will look on all blockchain projects, maybe 95% of them is about economics. And this is like, and this is not surprise, because the main problem of whole world and why the crypto start to exist was centralized economics with endless crises that we can't prevent somehow. And if common economics and centralized economics works perfectly for what we need decentralized economics, so decentralized economics is an answer. Most of the people, the main problem is like we don't have enough funds and we need to do something to get it. That's why most of our projects, it's about economics and about decentralized financials. And all of you are doing something to make this economical situation better. So let's start. Please tell us about yourself a little bit and about projects that you present and how it's related to the Interchain DeFi. Noam, let's start from you.
Sure. Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Noam. I am the product manager for the Cosmos Hub at Interchain Labs, Cosmos EVM as well, by the way. The main thing I'm working on right now is bootstrapping the new and upcoming DeFi ecosystem top of the hub. Sort of specific angle that we take that is unique to our ecosystem is the fact that we control the full stack from consensus to execution environment to interoperability, and then also the solver application layer. So we have some interesting things that we're working on that we're going to be sharing very soon.
Amazing. We're really glad to have you here. We will ask so many questions about the Cosmos Hub development.
Right, let's go. Hello, my name is Thom. I'm from the Netherlands. I am the project and community manager for Plank Network. Plank Network is a layer 1 Cosmos EVM chain, and we focus on mobile first applications. So our thesis is that most of the crypto things will eventually move to mobile. So we want to make like really usable, user-friendly applications for mobile phones.
Hello, my name is Till, and I'm from Nolus Protocol. I'm the core dev of Nolus Protocol. Nolus Protocol is a layer 2 lending protocol on the Terra Classic ecosystem. And we are here with fellow friends from the Terra Classic community to represent the Terra Classic chain. And yeah, we are here to we are doing what we are doing to revive the chain and to present the chain and to show that we are not dead.
I'm so proud. It means like even after all this crisis or situation, that community is alive and doing something. This is the best marker of how the Cosmos ecosystem community is strong. It's made of so many different small groups who every support own chain and whole ecosystem. This is very good.
Yeah, we're growing fast. It's impressive. You know, I do believe Terra Classic has found its identity. We are growing every day. For myself, I'm Nick Boulay. I got into crypto with my first project, which was a food token, which was created by our very own Frag right over here. And the goal of that one was to empower farmers across the world to grow food, good, healthy food, and we finance them with 100% of our trading fees. So it's really like a humanitarian project. Then came along Cookie. Cookie is it started as a meme token and now is a utility token for Lunkverse and many other things that we were building along with it. And I'm also the co-owner of Artemis Protocol. And that's we're building a USDC staking platform. So our goal is to recall some off-chain tokens and stake some USDC and work on our way towards a potential repeg one day. But to do so, we need to bring those coins home. Lunkverse. Lunkverse is our main utility, is the main utility for Cookie. It's going to be, I believe, one of the main utilities for Terra Classic and all of Cosmos ecosystem. And with Sputnik, maybe we can take it a step further.
This is we will glad for all kinds of collaboration.
All right.
Sputnik, it's a satellite, it's something that near to you and help you to send receive signals.
I think you got it right. It'll really help with the bridge between Web 2 and Web 3. And we've already got email connects like for Lunkverse, so it only makes sense, right? You come to Berlin for nothing.
All right, so my name is Puya. I'm here with my co-founder too. Together we started Nolus Protocol. I think yesterday we told you guys a little bit about this background and history and how we started off SME. Now we are right before the testnet launch of the new decentralized lending platform Terra Classic. And yeah, my background is also IT. I worked as a software developer for like 4.5 years, professionally in like Web 2 and ASP.NET, Microsoft technologies. Nolus Protocol, I only focus on the business side. I don't touch anything. It's his job and some other people that cannot be here today. And yeah, I agree with Nicolas. Terra Classic, still think is the best place to be right now in the Cosmos. I'm sorry, guys. We just have the best community right now, but I think Cosmos in general has like lots of room to grow. So, thanks for.
Yeah, very impressive and very cool. Like as the Cosmos ecosystem maximalist, I want to tell that all parts of Cosmos are beautiful. And a question to Noam from Interchain Labs. So, how do you see the development and what are you doing for development of the Interchain DeFi? Because like the Cosmos, it's we tell chain on Cosmos, yes, but of course we have Cosmos Hub development and we have development of the Cosmos ecosystem. How do you think is this the domain is develop Cosmos Hub or the domain is develop whole Cosmos ecosystem? What's your vision and maybe what's the vision of the ICF?
It's a big question. How do I say this? So I think, okay, actually I was thinking about this recently, and the last couple of years I've been traveling a lot, going to conferences, and especially going outside of the Cosmos bubble. What I find is that people generally think of Cosmos as like, okay, some really great engineers, almost some academics coming up with really revolutionary technology, but they're really bad business people. They don't really know how to grow. They don't really think about product. And I think historically this has sort of been the case. I do agree with this. this. And we're now in a situation where we have maybe the most interesting technology stack that is probably the least accessible, right? Like it's all proprietary. Cosmosm is very proprietary. You can only come in there with this wallet that's called Kepler and Leap, and you have to install this. I think this has been a real obstacle, and we really noticed this in the last half year or so since Interchain Labs started working. I don't know if you guys know, but Skip got acquired by ICF, and ICF turned Skip into basically Interchain Labs, and they're now running the show in some ways in terms of the tech stack. And our priority focus is really to make sure for us to get out of this hole and to make sure that we can be accessible to the rest of the ecosystem. And that's not just for the Cosmos Hub, that applies to everything. The most requested feature that we've seen from people building Cosmos chains is how can we get an EVM on our chain? How can we get MetaMask support? And we work with your team as well this. How can we get MetaMask support, Phantom support? How do we make it so that people who are on Ethereum base or even Solana and other places can just come to our ecosystem, use our apps without having to have all these big players? And to me, that's two things. That's incredible bridging, incredible onboarding, and that's something we're working really hard on with Eureka and with SkipGo. And then the second thing is like making sure that there's this MetaMask compatibility. And we're working really hard on this. There are, to my knowledge, at least about 20, maybe 30 Cosmos chains that are considering implementing the EVM. I think about a year from now, it's going to be very common for you to just be able to use. You're coming from base, you want to use a new app that you're seeing on Cosmos, connect with MetaMask, one-click onboarding, you're good to go. And I think that should be applicable to every Cosmos chain in the end.
Very interesting. We was discussing also this question. So for now, for any project on Ethereum, they don't need to have such kind of like a chain registry. So they just can run and be in the MetaMask. And in case of the Cosmos, to me, for example, in the Kepler, they need to do something like, okay, somebody create the token factories, but where I can find it, how I need to edit, yes. And this is, for the technical people, it's okay, create pull request, wait, but for humanitarian people, it's a pain in the ass, like go to the GitHub and create pull request, what is this? Like, this is something very hard. So, this is also the question of for ICL, as for Thom, maybe we can make this permissionless wallet, and as the Planck network already have this wallet that connected as to the Cosmos, as to EVM, to make it permissionless that we can just create the token and see the wallet without chain registry. And what's your plans to develop your wallet, and how do you see it?
Right, so we kind of developed our wallet because of two reasons. One of the reasons was that we didn't think there was a really good mobile experience out there yet for many Cosmos chains. But to be honest, the other reason was also that we had a lot of difficulty working with the existing wallets and with the software stack we were using. There were a lot of limits with it, because you had to convert from ERC to IBC. It was really hard to get those new ERC tokens verified and show up in your wallet. So what we're mostly going to focus on, we think that Interchain Labs is obviously going to improve the EVM stack, right? The EVM module, which is going to be really helpful because our team isn't big enough to make those really huge changes, but in collaboration, I think we can achieve a really good EVM module. And then finally, as Noam said, people can enjoy the beauty of Cosmos. What we're mostly going to focus on with our wallet is solutions that are really useful to end users. So that's going to be mostly our focus, things like onboarding users with just their mobile phone number, extracting as much Web3 stuff as possible and making it look and feel like Web2 apps. Because our vision is that there are already really good banking apps and stuff out there, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are really good apps with really good UX UI, and we're going to try to get as close to that as possible. And the fact that the technology stack now is going to get a lot better will be a huge help.
This is very interesting. I think there is so many possibilities for networking and collaboration between the
wish of their ICL to develop more in this direction and overall you do. And from side of the Juris protocol and all this Interchain DeFi, we understand that the Interchain DeFi is always like the several sides do it together. Yes, so when we need to create liquidity pool, we need to put not only one token but several tokens. So what is your needs or like what you need or what will help you to improve your Interchain DeFi and to bring more contributions to other, how you see this this development of Juris protocol in the way of the Interchain DeFi and resurrection of Luna Classic. What is needed as you see to be done from your side and from the side of other Cosmos ecosystem networks or foundations?
Yeah, I think from like I'm speaking of for Juris protocol, but from the perspective of Terra Classic community member of Terra Classic contributor as well, and I guess like making Terra Classic or like making the technology stack of Terra Classic, and so like which is the like technology stack of like Cosmos chains in general, more accessible to developers. I think that's like what we should work on, but at the same time, it's a challenge for us to make that because no one in Terra Classic has the authority to make like such kind of, no one like DNS is not a centralized protocol or a decentralized protocol, and so someone has to hold the website, someone else has to hold the DNS, and like for example, Ziegler, he had 3 years, he needed 3 years of time to pass a proposal on Terra Classic to make a website for Terra Classic, and that was really challenging. And yeah, so that's really the challenge, I guess.
Now, and what, as you see, what can accelerate this process? What can help it? Is it that only a question of the Terra Classic wish and community wish, or it can be done with some ecosystem activity?
I guess funding on Terra Classic is a problem. So currently, I'm the only person relaying packages to other chains. Like I'm the only person to poke at Terra Classic is like depending on me, and I guess like I'm paying a whole lot of like relaying fees and service and so on. But like the funding on Terra Classic is kind of short, and I guess yeah.
So that's next question. And why Terra Classic? In this case, yes. So I like for me, it's like I'm proud of you that yes. So we have pretty big amount of the networks in the Cosmos ecosystem, and maybe more than 100 zones. You decided I will support, and this is your enthusiastic inner wish. This is not some conspiracy theory. Yes. Why Terra Classic?
Because I think that Terra Classic is still the most decentralized. Like even if we have these kind of problems with decentralization, which is like this is like getting asked all the time. I think it's still the most decentralized chain, and we are kind of the successor of Juno, I think. And yeah, that's why. And the community is thriving, the community is excited, community is bullish.
This is very interesting. This is very interesting. I need to spend more time to research it, because in the same and all you tell us this is the truth, because yesterday, Nicolas, you was showing this metaverse, and you have so cool and nice progress. how do you see this future of your metaverse inverse in the context of the Interchain DeFi and context of the Cosmos ecosystem, and do you have any plans to make this metaverse, for example, on Atom, on Cosmos, yes, or on any other chains, or it will be especially on the Loop?
No, so when I started building Cookie, our mentality has always been, let's go out and get investors from other chains and let's bring them in. Let's go to their home and build, and let's have them come discover Terra Classic that we're still alive and kicking and thriving, actually. You know, I'll give you an example, okay? We were trading for a while some wrapped ether, okay? Sending from one wallet to another on Terra Classic for $0.001. Like, you can't do that on Ethereum, right? Like, this is just another way we can develop Terra Classic, like create a roll-up solution on Ethereum that's Terra Classic based and create like a fast, efficient, low-cost solution. So there's multiple ways that we can revive Lunk, but like one of the ways that we're figuring out with Lunkverse is by giving multiple wallet connects, by having email logins and having all these things, you're able to tap in not only the Web3 market, but the Web2 market. And then we can also use some Web2 marketing and Web3 marketing, like we heard in the panels in the past couple of days. Like there's a lot that we can do, and there's some money we can invest into this chain for marketing. It's so important, and I don't see it as a spending, but more as an investment in ourselves and what we've built. I think that's the next wave forward for us. That's how we create new investors, new traders, new eyes, new money. I think facilitating the process of onboarding crypto, it's all part of the challenges that we are trying to solve actively on Terra Classic, and everybody's kind of doing it on their own side. And what's beautiful about Terra Classic is that you have people working 365 days out of the year, 24/7, because we're a global community that's from everywhere. Everybody's working on their own project, on their own time, and it becomes a little bit complicated when you're trying to work with your teammates that are from Portugal, for example, or from UK, and I'm from Canada, and time zones and calls, and we end up going to bed like at some crazy times at night. But you know, we're here for creation of generational wealth. We're not here for a quick 10x. Like, I don't care about 10x. I'm not looking for 10x. That's not enough. You know, like, we're here to change a lot of things, and I do believe like this world, there's a lot of darkness, and we heard Jacob talk, and that's some serious shit. Excuse my language, but like, it's very true. And when you input so much darkness into the world, you're gonna have a counterbalance of lights of good that comes out, and maybe that happens through Terra Classic, putting money in the hands of people that are here to make some real changes within their own community and have an impact on a global scale. Do it on a small scale and have an impact on a global scale.
Yeah, I think that we forgot about very important moments, that even crash of the Terra Classic don't destroy the whole infrastructure, and Luna was everywhere on all the access, and all this infrastructure is still alive. It's like, it's just was economical crash, but not the infrastructure crash. And now I start to look on the Terra Classic a little bit another after. And so this is it. Sounds like, okay, now I understand the theoretical potentials and how to do it. But what's your thoughts about resurrection of this Interchain DeFi, and how it can affect whole Cosmos ecosystem, or will it affect whole Cosmos ecosystem or not? And also about some DEX solution. Yes, it's also, we have many topics about, do we need only one DEX, and fragmentation of the liquidity. I think also Noam can add after a lot of thoughts about it.
Okay, that's actually a difficult question, I think, because what I found fascinating about Cosmos trades when I started in crypto, which was like 4 years ago, basically I found out about this app chain concept, right? That's how Cosmos is built, I think. And I also found out about Luna, which like I didn't invest in before DPEC, but there was always a discussion about like, I think Luna was going a little bit out of the Cosmos app chain model because it was like a fat chain, like Ethereum. There was like lots of DFs on it. And I saw that back then there was lots of discussions like, where's the line? You know, like you have app chains, like each L1 basically derived from Cosmos SDK, and then they add some modules and stuff, and it becomes its own thing. So basically, you don't really need L2s on it, right? But sometimes you then add some L2s on it, and then it starts to basically morph into a fat chain. And there was lots of discussions about it, and I myself, I'm not sure like how to solve it. And I think that also goes a little bit into the fractionate liquidity question, because if you have like several fat chains or app chains with different DFs on them competing for liquidity and like for use case and for users, then you start to cannibalize yourself within the Cosmos, right? And it's pretty interesting, but I cannot answer your question as to like what's the solution, because I don't know. I'm just studying this stuff. I find it interesting because it's like, I don't know how to fix it. Like, do you find a middle ground? But middle ground again is like mixing both concepts, right? Or do you go full hardline on one side, app chain only? But then maybe you say like, okay, but you know, if this is like a lending chain, maybe it would be nice to have XYZ on it. Maybe it would be nice, you know, maybe we could build an L2 on it, which allows like perp trading, perpetual trading, and then you basically have a fat chain again. Like, it's a very hard question.
No, I'm totally sure that you have something kind of like a plan, because you already told that in our plans increase the liquidity in Cosmos kind of in 10 or 100 times, and I'm totally sure that it's possible. I remember more than billion TVL on the osmosis, and I remember how it was so many people at the time joined know a lot about Cosmos, and osmosis was so pumping. And how do you think, tell us about the plans to return back to such bright times, or even go further?
Sure. No problem. So first off, I just want to comment on what you were saying, and also the previous question, because I think one of the things that we went a little too crazy with is the number of blockchains that we have. I think there's too much block space. There's too much block space, and that's ending up costing us a lot of like liquidity fragmentation. It's a real issue. Some of you might be aware of some of the conversations that have been happening to consolidate some of the things onto the hub. Those conversations are still going. Those matter as well, I think. But more fundamentally, I think there's like two things. There's probably more, but just two that I can maybe speak on. One is providing access and the onboarding, right? Like I think one of the reasons why the hub and Cosmos in general has suffered from lack of liquidity is because it's just damn hard to get in there. It's really hard to get in there. It's just a huge obstacle. So we talked about it. I talked about it earlier. We are fairly confident that we can overcome that issue. The second thing is maybe not so much in terms of like the total amount of liquidity, but rather the effectiveness of the liquidity that is there. If you think about it, if you go to, even if you go to Base, or you go to any other sort of like non-Cosmos network, and you type in ETH and you want to trade with something, there are a million versions of ETH, right? There's like layer 0 ETH, and let's suppose there's like Axelar ETH, there's whatever, there's a ton of different ETHs out there. That really reduces the liquidity depth that you have, or like the depth that you have for like capital efficient trades. We have some idea right now of how we could solve this at the protocol level as well as the total on-chain, the off-chain level, where essentially something that we're working towards, and there's not something I can really speak on too much yet, but the idea is that if you were to go to the hub, there is one ETH, there is one Bitcoin, there is one this, there's one that. Even if it comes from many different places, once it arrives in the hub, it is actually one. And we will do all the complicated binding whatever in the background. This is something I can't commit to that this is really happening, but this is something we're researching right now. We have a pretty good sense of what that would look like, and we think this is possible. And by that, what I'm trying to say is the liquidity that will end up on the chain is going to be at least 3 to 5 times more effective than it would be, for example, in any other network.
And how other projects can help with it or accelerate this process. Yes, for example, such bright ideas like friends, we have so many networks and every have some community pool. If every community pool will provide kind of 10% of community pool to the liquidity with others, we already will have pretty big liquidity, because now the stock is just like wait for proposal and doing nothing. Like maybe is it only the deal of the Cosmos Hub and ICF how to do it, or it can be something like do it together, friends. If we are ecosystem, let's solve this question, because whole ecosystem interested in the good liquidity.
Yes. Well, I will say honestly that our key priority now is getting the Cosmos Hub DeFi ecosystem started. That is not to say that we don't care about the rest of the ecosystem. We care about the rest of the ecosystem tremendously. But we do think that basically improving. Okay, here's this. If you think about Cosmos, what is the token you think about, right? Atom. That is the main token. And we've seen a huge correlation between the performance of Atom and the performance of other tokens as well. And we generally feel that if the hub does well, it's become a lot more attractive to enter into the rest of the ecosystem. The hub is still the primary fiat on-ramp platform, like in terms of exchanges. It's the primary way that people get into the ecosystem through Atom. This is 100% the case. This is, and I guess in the past maybe that would have been Terra as well. I think maybe nowadays you guys are getting back to it basically. But you come into the space through Atom. So if we do well with the hub, if we do well with our ecosystem, it becomes the entry point to the rest. So we hope with that we can lift the entire ecosystem.
And I'm going to say I kind of agree with Noam. I think every chain needs to have a hard look at itself and say, like, do we need to be an entire chain, or are we an app that could be on a more successful? Could we be more successful on another chain? Of course, we saw Stargaze try this. Apart from that, I also agree if Atom does well, we all do well. Atom is at the end of the day branding, and when many of us introduce ourselves, we're like, hey, I am this guy from Juno, a Cosmos chain, right? If Cosmos has a bad rep or it is hard to use, I think all of our chains will be kind of hard to use. So yeah.
Yes, I totally understand. Like, or just this is. It was some shock for me. I just was checking the income from the EVMOS, and even if POSTHUMAN top 7 validator in EVMOS, their monthly income is quite $1.20, and we think, okay, why we still validate EVMOS? We check why Cosmos Station still validate EVMOS, and Siddiqui still validate. Maybe this guy knows something. Okay, we will still validate it. Yes, and there is this we can tell about many Cosmos chains. Yes, and I remember that we have less chains, but they was much more bigger, and now we have more chains. So is it mean that the time of their creating new chains is past, and now we need to care about what we already created, or it means that just this is the process of evolution? Like we create 100 chains, 80 of them died, 20 alive, they create new forks, after again 80% dies.
I mean, EVMOS is a great example. There's a reason why when we started Plank, we used a bunch of their software. They had like pretty cool software, they had a pretty cool library, they had pretty cool ideas, but there was no business plan there, of course. It's kind of unfortunate that they're rich broke as well. But yeah, I think we need to work together and get like the best things of every chain could make like a really good ecosystem. And in that regard, I also think we need to look at what other really successful chains did, like Solana is extremely successful. And I think one of the reasons everyone says it's pump.fun, I also think that it's because there's really good leadership there. There's like a really good vision. There is someone at the top, and I know that it's not really decentralized, but at the end of the day, I am personally very happy that we have new leadership at the Cosmos Hub. And we have Noam here, of course, as a product manager. And at least there is now some sort of vision. And the vision could be like explained a little bit more. And I think the Interchain Lab needs to do more marketing to properly explain like this is where we're going. And maybe they don't actually know themselves yet. But I think
we have an announcement coming in on the 30th.
Oh, there you go. So But I think we shouldn't underestimate the fact that we now have leadership with a vision. And I can speak from personal experience. We're a relatively small chain. And the second that ICL took over most of the things, we've been taken very serious. We've been included in many talks about what's going to happen to the EVM. And that's such a vibe shift already for me behind the scenes. I think people are underestimating that a little bit. And I think that could be a huge part of the revival of the DeFi interchain, of the DeFi thingy.
Decentralization doesn't mean anarchy. I think that's something we got to remember. You know, even though we are decentralized, I think we still need structure to move forward. We need deciders, people who make decisions for the chain. But once again, that still needs to go through voting proposal and go through governance, which is the best kind of democracy in my book. So
yeah, but there needs to be like good ideas come forward, and we should use our governance proposals sparsely and with like really good intention and clear vision. So I completely agree. It shouldn't be anarchy, and everyone that makes proposals should be held accountable for the execution, especially if it's going to cost money. But I have a much better feeling about it now than I had like 9 months ago, I guess.
So, does Interchain DeFi depends on some marketing, or is this depends more on the technological solutions, or it requires both?
I'm a huge believer that the technology is kind of there. I think that some things need to be ironed out, but I think the stack is really good because many people are spinning up chains, even people that don't interact with Cosmos that much, like DYDX. There's a reason they chose the tech, right? So it's there. I think it's more so kind of the vibe needs to shift. There needs to be some marketing. There needs to be good communication. And I'm sure we'll see that in due time. But I'm a big believer that if the UX is good, that's like the first part. Because if it sucks, someone's going to use it once and then leave. I'm the same way. If it sucks, I leave.
And you just need a good reason to go to Cosmos. You need to give a good app, you need good things. You need to make money in there. You need to be able to have yield that is unparalleled in other ecosystems. I think the thing is, the reality is just we don't have the killer apps yet. Cosmos working on it, and they're coming. But this is a big thing. Like, what do you really do in Cosmos right now? There's a couple of really cool things, but like, and that's also maybe going back to your question: how we're going to bring the liquidity in. Like, give the liquidity a good reason to be there. Right? Like, that's the most important thing.
I just want to add one thing. One of the speeches that struck me a couple of days ago was from Oak Security. One of the main directions people were getting hacked is because of humans, right? I truly believe the future of the Cosmos is permissionless. If we were able to add more AI technology that takes away the human error, I think we are able to solve a lot of issues moving forward. That doesn't mean we completely take the human out of the equation, but we have some of the more complex stuff and security stuff be ran by computers.
We was already speaking with some of you with this thought. If we have 100% of funds, if we will spend 50% on marketing, we will spend 50% on technology. If we will spend 20% on marketing, we will spend 80% on technology. If we will spend 100% on marketing, we will get Cohen. And 0% technology, and this is fun.fun about what we speak and why the Solana now is the so for the long period of time, looks like in the Cosmos we was spending 99% on the technology. Is it time to start? Do we have such technologies that we can tell, okay, friends, maybe it's time to spend something on marketing, or do we need to spend on marketing, and if yes, how much?
I think it's really easy to say, like, just spend money on marketing. I think a big fact currently is that the end users aren't there. This is in 2021. So who are we directing this marketing to currently? I think currently it's fine to hold out a little bit. I think speaking for us, we're doing some cool stuff and we're happy to wait with bringing it out a little bit. until the craziness in the world hopefully dies down a little bit. And I hope that the Cosmos Hub kind of does the same thing, where they're clearly coordinating a lot of projects launching there. I'm sure the marketing efforts are much better spent when there's actually shit to do, because you can do marketing now and there's still nothing to do.
That's exactly like, yeah, it's believe me, we have a very good sense of the need for marketing. I do think that the framing of this way of marketing versus technology is maybe too simplistic. A lot of the work and the money that we're spending right now is in actually like closing deals, incubating teams. I wish I could say the numbers we're looking at in terms of like how expensive it is to get some of the partnerships onto the hub. They're crazy numbers, and that's really where so much money is going right now. Marketing will come once the apps are there. And of course, we do need to do a better job of communicating what the roadmap is, and we will. We have a very good sense now of what it's going to be looking like. But yeah, we can't market to retail if there's nothing to do at the moment, right? So, TBD, soon.
Juris Protocol has any?
Yeah, maybe because you guys are OG builders, like you're here for long years, and we're like you, but maybe some perspective helps, because we're retail, right? We were the users of those protocols, and I sometimes have the feeling that the better the devs on the chain are, and I think Cosmos Chain is like all Cosmos chains, there's like lots of talent, people are dedicated to the tech, and they are so in love with tech that it's the only thing they think about all of the time, right? They're like, oh, we can build this stuff, it's so cool, with this tech we can do this, and there is an update for Cosmos, but sometimes I have a feeling like they do it the other way around. They just build because they can build, but they don't think like, hey, yes, what could be built, or what, like, if I'm a normal user, if I know nothing about crypto, like, what could I build that's useful for a person like this, and that's maybe do research and say like, okay, this tech here fits, this Cosmos chain has like these features, there is, and it's nothing against you guys, by the way, like just an observation of Cosmos in general. So
I completely agree.
Yes. And in fact, I will add also, so I've been working in Cosmos and in and around Interchain Foundation or Interchain Labs for about 4 years now. And when I joined, it was exactly like I described it, right? It's like Interchain security is a very good example of this. Some people were just like, all right, we're going to build this is going to be great. But there was no process of validating whether or not we have customers, whether or not there was a demand for this, whether or not there was actually sort of any business model that we can work around. Right now, the way that we build products is like, we simply will not build it unless we have a customer, unless we have a good sense of like, okay, this is some percentage of the market share that we can capture through this model, through this protocol, whatever. This is how we go about things now. I think that's the beautiful thing about the Skip acquisition. Barry and Mac, for this, I don't know if you know those, but they were founders of the Skip. Their whole approach was like a super customer and product oriented way of building. And this culture has now penetrated ICF and the whole culture within the company. And it's just how we do things now. And it's kind of refreshing to see that from a person who's been there for so long. It's actually quite nice to have a boss that tells you, why are you doing this? Right? And then to ask yourself, oh, right, yeah, no, that's a really good question. And then you go back to your problem, right? Like, this is exactly what the process should look like.
Right. And I think the beauty is as well, you guys can now get in contact with the Interchain Lab. You can say, this is what we're building. What can we do to eventually also tap into the user base of the Cosmos Hub that is right now, maybe it's a little bit bigger than yours, and maybe we can cross-pollinate. But I think the most important thing is that there is the possibility to do this together now. There is some sort of communication. So I hope Luna has of course always been like a little bit outside of Cosmos, even though it was a Cosmos chain. I hope you guys don't carry over that trait, and Luna Classic can also integrate more within the wider Cosmos.
I have a suggestion.
You first.
Yeah, okay, appreciate it. How about we start holding either weekly or bi-monthly podcast together as the Cosmos show unity, show that we're working together, we're making new bonds, maybe we discover new projects and make new collaborations. I mean, we're all on X, we're always on there doing podcasts anyways, right? I feel like it's a good way to make a bridge. It's great marketing as well.
Yeah, we can get Marius on there from Juno. It's going to be good.
Oh, yeah. I also wanted to say it's great that you guys mentioned it, because when we started Juris, which was Breakoff back then, I think now it's not in the documentation anymore. We updated it just now. But one of the main pillars was like we want to branch out into the Cosmos ecosystem, not like porting our protocol to other chains, because we don't want to like compete with other Cosmos chains. And like what we want to do is like build bonds like, with other chains. So we did launch an osmosis, and we tried to like really get into touch with people, like get maybe liquidity for the pool, right? Because it's very hard to self-fund if you're like a small project, right? And liquidity is like we wouldn't have needed, for example, osmosis liquidity, right? Osmo or another chains, and not even about funding or liquidity, like just in general having contacts, you know, being connected to each other, working on problems together. That's something that Juris was supposed to do. It worked great in some ways, not so great in others, but that's the beauty of these summits, right? Because now we get to know each other, exchange some Telegram contacts already, some WhatsApp numbers. And so I'm looking forward to the next year and see like if we can come together.
Yeah, by all accounts, your app looks very good. It seems like you have a really good working app now. I'm sure if you show it around and get in touch with the right people that you clearly met here, I think we can come a little bit closer together.
Awesome, looking forward to it. So look, Terra Classic could be like the special Luna chain that comes back to the Cosmos.
For real.
Like the special kid.
What a wholesome panel. It's so nice, everyone loves each other. This is great, what a great panel.
Friends, I'm so excited. This is the my wish that after the Interchain Summit, people several times, you remember how we met on the Interchain Summit? This was the good networking, and now we do something together. If I think it was the main idea of the Interchain Summit to make a cool networking space, and I really glad that it happens. Friends, please tell something what you want to tell, and some maybe call to action or advice or something, and we will finish second day after it. I don't know. Let's start from Puya.
All right. So basically, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's still here Saturday night and listening to us. Thank you for having us. And my call to action would be to just check out all the protocols, not only on Terra Classic, like everyone who's here, check out their projects, connect with them, support them any way you can. And this actually was the best experience right now, talking to Cosmos people, like making bonds.
You're also Cosmos people. We're all Cosmos people.
Yeah. Yes. Just 1 hour.
Yeah, we're definitely stronger together, that's for sure. And all our lives have been divided by color, divided by religion, divided by currency, divided by everything, right? Like the minute we start coming together is the minute we are going to move so much faster. And I'll give you an example. I work on a farm. I started learning, doing all this stuff by myself. I never used a drill before 2019. Now I'm building my own buildings, okay? But like you try to screw in a piece of plywood by yourself, like it takes a considerable amount of time. You know, you have to pre-screw your screws and all that stuff. But when you're two, you got one guy holding the plywood, another one screwing it. It doesn't take, it's not twice as fast, it's 4 times faster, right? So when you add 3 people to the mix, 4 people, 5 people, like it's exponential. There's a lot of stuff that Cosmos can do, and I believe we can be the leading group of blockchain in the blockchain world.
Right points.
Understood. Thank you for having us at the Interchain Summit and to be able to represent Terra Classic, and I think also that this was a really nice experience to have you guys here, or like that you have us. And yeah, thank you.
Let me be the first to thank you, Vlad, for making this all happen. It's very selfless of you. You put a lot of your time and effort and even money into this, so that's very grateful for that. Apart from that, I guess I just want to say, and I am very much doing this sometimes as well, I think we've done enough infighting the past 4 years. I know there's like quite a bit of negativity around still from things that happened in the past. I think it's a nice time to move on and unite, just like all the other successful chains did, right? You don't see this infighting, I feel like, anywhere else. So I think we should leave it at this conference and build a cool ecosystem together again. Because I feel like if the vibes are much better, I think that, yeah, the vibes carry over, hopefully, to the users, to the liquidity, to the market caps. I truly believe that. So yeah, that's about it.
Cool. I have maybe a more practical sort of call to action. We got a lot of ideas. We got a lot of work to be done. We don't have enough people. If you're a developer, if you're building apps, whatever, if you're a founder of any sorts, please do get in touch. We need more people, not just at ICO. We need people building applications. We have the resources to help you. Please get in touch. The other thing I will say, in line with everything else here, is like Cosmos is dead. All hail to Cosmos. Let's get rid of the infighting for sure. And I think we have a bright future ahead of us. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, friends. Friends, cosmonauts, the second day of the Interchain Summit coming to the end. In front of us will be one more after party. Today we will go to some other place, but we will go together, more networking. If you have any questions, please ask any questions. If you send your Cosmos address in the Interchain Summit chat, very good. If you still didn't do it, please send, because on these addresses we will send different gifts, NFTs, tokens. All of them will be added to the white list of Loonqueers. And sorry that we didn't do it still, because it takes time, and better to spend it on the after party.